moment here. Let me do some things on my end. Brianna's gonna just push a button or two. And you're all set. Have a good meeting.
Great. All right, thank you. It is September 10th, and I'm going to call to order and have acceptance of the agenda of tonight's select board meeting. Motion. Second. Ms. Conley, all those in favor? And second, excuse me. Second by Mr. Gilmore, all those in favor? Aye. Aye, it is unanimous. The Scituate Select Board is committed to providing an environment of respect during meetings. We ask all members to interact in a polite manner, even when there's disagreement. We value the participation in our community. We want all participants, including marginalized and minoritized communities, to feel welcome and respected. We ask our committee members, everyone who participates, to commit to the standards and support and respect our community. With that, are there any walk-ins? See any walk-ins? So we'll go to the report of town administrator.
Good evening, nice to be back, although Sherry told me the meetings go much better when I'm not here, so if you don't want me to show up anymore, just let me know. We'll start the water update. Tac factory is -2, last week was -1.5. Reservoir is -14.5, last week was -10.15. No rainfall the last 7 days. The demand for the past week though was 1.8 million gallons a day. That's up quite a bit from 1.56 for the previous week. That's one of the highest usage figures that we've had this year. So we do want to remind people that although we're in good shape in terms of the amount of water in the reservoir for this time of year, we're still under our annual water restrictions that are in place until September 30th. Outdoor watering must occur before 9 and after 5. Between May 1st and September 30th, automatic irrigation systems may be only used 1 day per week, as designated by the Scituate Water Department according to your precinct. So please conserve water. We don't want to be using that kind of water this site of the year. Paving this week, the paving crews will be on Grove Street between Manlock and Maple Street, on Lawson Road between Beaver Dam and Captain Pierce. This week will be grinding and raising of castings, and the actual paving should take place next week. So use caution if you're traveling in those areas starting this week. Cape Verde Sister City Committee will be presenting Cape Verdeans a legacy of service on Saturday, September 21st, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Real Theater. Suggested donations is $10. This compelling documentary produced by the Cape Cod Verdean Museum and Culture Center in honor of the brave Cape Verdean men and women who served in the U.S. military. We're especially proud to feature one of Scituate's own residents, the late Officer Paul Andrade, whose story has a personal connection to the Scituate community. Following the screening, there will be discussion with museum members at the theater. As the chairman was mentioning before the meeting, the weather's nice, the beaches are open. There are no more lifeguards on the beach, so please use a little extra caution. As of Labor Day weekend, you no longer need a beach pass to park at any one of our beaches. So anybody who wants to come and use our beaches, there are no beach passes required from now until Memorial Day. Scituate Affordable Housing Trust is announcing the opening of the small repair grant program to provide up to $3,500 in grant funding. The qualifying Scituate homeowners make essential repairs and modifications to their homes for health and safety reasons. Applications are due no later than October 30th. Visit the Affordable Housing Trust page on the town website for details. The dog park will be closed for the remainder of this week as we complete the needed maintenance on the Stone Parkway. It was supposed to be open last week, but the contractor was not around, so I know Sean McCarthy's talking. We are right now pretty confident we'll have it done by the end of the week. The library's strategic planning survey is available right now on the town website. The library is required to complete a strategic plan every 5 years in order to receive state funding, and this process helps define priorities for services, collections, and programs in the coming years. Your feedback is important, and the survey will be up to the end of this week, September 30th. Tennis court project at the high school is ongoing. Retaining wall installation is complete. The contractor is backfilling behind the wall. Drainage and base stone work are continuing. Light pole installation is complete. This week, on Thursday, we have another meeting where we get an update on when we're going to actually do those 2 floors for the actual tennis courts themselves. There'll be a pour and a week off and then a pour. So this week we'll talk about that. It will take place during school. We're going to make sure we get enough information so the concrete pour doesn't interfere with middle school, the high school, and finally for this week, we're still on Jericho Road doing the service connections. The water department has notified residents who may be impacted, but please use caution if you live in that area, as that work could cause brown water. So make sure you check and flush before you do any laundry. Hopefully that'll be finishing up in the coming weeks, and then we'll pay that. that's what happened.
That's great. Thank you. So you think the Jericho Road, just a couple more weeks, you think, or?
Yeah, the plan is to have it all done, buttoned up and paid before the time.
Great. Questions? All right. We will move on then to our first agenda item. This is the temporary installation of some land-based research equipment. Lori, we do. We got some folks from the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute. How are you?
Hi,
Good. Can you hear us okay, or is it a little,
I can hear you well enough, yeah.
well, okay, well, we'll
can
go
you
with
hear
that,
me?
well enough, yes. So,
Okay. Hi, I'm Eve Cinquino, and I'm here tonight with Anthony Karincich. We're both researchers over at the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. So I just wanted to present briefly on this temporary installation of land-based sensors that we are hoping to install on the empty lot at 0 Oceanside Drive between 68 and 94 Oceanside Drive. So if you move on to the next slide. Cool. So we have these antenna system, land-based antenna systems that we've installed up and down the coast from Rhode Island up to Maine. We at WHOI maintain about 12 similar sites, but they are also common around the entire coastline. They measure ocean surface currents, winds, waves, all offshore of the surf zone. They work by sending a frequency similar to like CB or ham radio out towards the ocean, which bounce off ocean waves and then reflect back to the site to collect data. These systems are really useful for observing storm conditions, long-term changes in ocean circulation that can affect beach dynamics, etc. So this would be an experimental setup that we'd like to install here, and then we're also planning to install a few other sites in Marshfield and Duxbury, with the goal of making it a little bit more compact and higher resolution. So if you go to the next slide, I'll show you the site layout. This is our planned layout. There would be a grid with 8 antennas, a little electronic stand, and then we'd hook up to incoming power at the power pole right there. All cabling between everything would be hand buried. The antennas would be hand dug in this zone. And then if you go to the next slide. So this is kind of what the antennas look like. They're just wire wrapped around wooden posts. And then we'd put in an electronic stand that's 3 feet wide, 6 feet tall, and 2 feet deep that would house all of the electronics, similar to like a trailhead kiosk that you would see. Yeah, I think that's most of it. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Lori, anything you want to say about kind of the current deal? It looks very minimal impact. I know we'll have some questions, concerns, but any.
Yeah, I did meet on site with Eve and Andrew, and I supported their applications and conservation commission, which we received. I think it'd be a great opportunity for the town to have more information about how storms and waves impact our coastline. And it's such a minimally invasive project, and temporary installation that we can go up.
Questions, concerns?
I have a couple of questions. So the lease term is for 2 years or 3 years?
2 years.
Okay, because in the contract it says 3 years and then it says also 2 years.
We'll
Okay.
have that.
So the one, so in the first, the second, third whereas says 3 years, and then that when it goes to the term, it says September 10th, 2024 to 26. So I think it should be clarified that it's 2 years. And then my
2 years.
second question is, who's paying for the electricity when this thing gets plugged in?
Who we will pay for the electricity. We'll install a service and pay for it.
Okay, can we add that to the agreement so that the town's not paying for the electricity? And I think it's great, I should start out with this, it's great, thank you, those are my only 2 clarifications.
Thank you.
Yeah, have the abutters been notified? I mean, it may not require it, but it strikes me.
It doesn't require, we'll let them know before we put it in,
Yeah,
we'll
I
kind of
mean,
go in there just so they know, but.
if I were living down there and something all of a sudden appeared, I'd be less than happy to not be notified about it. And I guess my next question is, or final question, you mentioned the town that somehow, are you gonna share the information? How does that work? When they finish gathering the information of what.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so we talked about that, and he agreed to share it with us, share the information with us, and do you have anything you want to add?
It's also in the agreement that they'll share the information.
Yeah.
And that it's publicly available, so anybody in town that would want it could also.
Yeah, so the nature of our work is all the data is always publicly available, but we are hoping to, as part of this project, build up a more user-friendly interface for people in the town to actually see the data in a way that's useful for them. So part of our plan is to, once we get everything installed and are actually collecting data, continue to talk with people in the town to say, like, what of this data is useful for you and how can we best share it with you?
Well, yeah, because if it's only interpretable by scientists, then, you know.
Yeah,
If it's useful to us, obviously, that's a good thing, so.
totally.
Yeah.
All my questions are answered. Very good. I'm in favor of it.
Any questions? Oh, yeah.
Just a little concerned about it. Is this stuff really delicate? Some of the rocks along the edge of the road we stored there for emergencies. If we ever have a breach or anything in the roadway, that we pull that stuff out of there and use it to fill the gap. And also we use that area to store our material after a lot of material comes over the seawall there. And we usually move stuff around in loads. I don't want to be ripping it out or finding out we did a ton of damage, during storm cleanup.
So we tried to place the equipment. If you go back to the previous slide, it seems like the entrance that the vehicles would use is further south on this lot. So we tried to place them pretty far up. But we're happy to discuss with you if there's like a better place within this lot to put them that's out of the way. But they should be resilient to storms. Obviously, if you're collecting the rocks right where the antennas are, it might be a little bit iffy.
Any other concerns?
Well, all I can say is if that happens, I think that's their problem, right?
Yeah.
If it
If
gets.
we get an emergency, we're gonna deal with it.
Right,
So we can work around it for the most.
yeah, but if you're putting it right on the ocean, stuff happens, right?
Yeah.
Right, that's called the liability.
And that's part of the reason we put it where we did on this site, because they had initially proposed it further south. But after going out there, it was like kind of a low spot where when walking, splash over kind of channels and into the roadway, see there's a lot of movement there. So I put it up a little bit further more, so that seemed to come the way.
Corey, there is a lot to north there by about 300 feet. It's a single an open lot, out on the lot. 200 feet, one
We have- Well, we're already down the road on this spot, all right, so it's already been through conservation. We have what we're going through. Are people comfortable with this? Okay, we have a motion.
Move to enter into agreement with Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute to allow research antennas and related equipment to be placed in on town-owned property parcel ID number 34-1-26B for a period of 2 years, September 10th, 2024 through September 10th, 2026.
Moved by Mr. Gilmore, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Harrison, all those in favor?
Aye.
It is unanimous. Right. Well, thank you, and we look forward to working with you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, next, Kevin, foreshore update. Speaking of storms. Sean's coming up and Nancy's here.
Corey's here too, wow.
We're here, everyone's here.
So keeping with what it is an update. We're gonna run through it, and then if you have any questions, we have these subject matter experts all around us. So, the board had requested through their retreat a seawall update. I expanded that to a foreshore protection update because everything here. We're gonna take a quick peek at North Central Beach Nourishment and all of these other projects that you see on the screen, and then tell you where our current issues lie. So the North Scituate Beach Nourishment, as you were aware, finished in early 2024 to all the hard work and years of planning with Corey and with Sean. This was funded with $3.9 million worth of coastal resiliency grants, and the balance came from town appropriate foreshore funds. It's approximately about 35% of the overall project. It's about 52,000 cubic yards of material that was brought in. The fiscal 24 grant period, we did not participate in because of limited foreshore funding match availability, and you'll see as we go further on. I'm saying that. And behind each one of our narratives, we have some pictures to those.
pass it up.
I'm so excited. So excited about sand. So that you can see where the funds went and how it was done. So the top is when it was completed, and then the bottom was during the process. The Oceanside Drive seawall continuation, as you are aware, we have a $5.9 million grant that we've already been awarded. 3 sections of Oceanside seawall were replaced between 2016 and 2017, with $6 million for the grant funds and $4 million for the low interest loans through the seawall and dam repair fund. With this $5.9 million grant and $8 million worth of town approved capital projects, we hope to be continuing to move this Oceanside Drive seawall down the road. Unfortunately, it has been mired down in permitting, much to Sean and Kevin's hard work. The permitting is almost complete, and at which time the project will go out to bid. Thank you. Are we permitted yet?
Waiting for the final signature. Anyway.
So,
I just got an email from EOEA today that the original project will be issued any day now, the chapter 91, so. That's good.
Is that CCM?
This is, not CZM, it's DEP.
Never got CCM, or where in the,
Well, CZM's done on this one, how's that?
oh, good, that's my question, thank you.
so where the red arrows are the Oceanside Drive seawall. As you can see, there's 3 sections that are completed, and this is the part in yellow that would hopefully be next on the agenda. The Cedar Point seawall repair replacement has been discussed for quite some time. We were in a 5-year study with the Army Corps of Engineers. We funded 50%, they funded 50%. That project ended in 2023 when it became apparent that the program that we wanted to pursue the Army Corps of Engineers, the project was too expensive for it. Since then, the design engineering contract was awarded by the town in 2023 to move forward independently of the Army Corps. the town did receive a $5.5 million legislative pre-disaster mitigation grant, or an LPDM. Even though we did receive that earmark, we still have to apply for it, and Sean has worked tirelessly in getting that application done for FEMA. That does have a 25% town share, and which is something that is proposed to go as the capital project in November 2024 special town meeting if the board supports it. And the design contract, which is $485,000, is being funded through town foreshore capital funds. So the design is ongoing, then there'll be subsequent permitting, and then we can move forward with repair and replacement. The same graphic, if you now look where the red line is, that's where the Cedar Point area is down at the curve. So we just wanted to be able to place it on the map. It is different from the rest of the sections that have been done as part of the ocean side. Then our favorite thing, the FEMA Public Assistance Disaster Repairs.
So,
Yeah, just one quick question about the, this section. Does that include the stairs that are down at,
Sand Hills, the opening at Sand Hills, yes.
because they're now like apparently so bad. I didn't make it worse and make it worse, but that's part of this project, those stairs. Thank you.
As you are aware, we have a lot of storm damage from Storm Sandy in 2012, Nemo in 13, Juno in 15, and Riley in 2008. There's over 25 open project worksheets for PWs because everything FEMA land has to be an acronym. To date, 2 projects have been completed in the last 3 years, and we're mired down in permitting. We have 2 different design firms, 3 different consultants, as well as FEMA, NEMA, and their respective consultants all working to try and get projects permitted and moving forward. So everyone's trying, we're just not making that much headway. We already authorized our borrowings.
You said 2 of 25. Are open project worksheets the same as projects?
Yes. We have already authorized the borrowings for our share of the projects, which is good, but we authorized them a couple of years ago and the price is just going up. So that may be something we have to deal with going forward. And the regulatory agencies keep making additional requirements, as you have become aware of some of the projects that govern size of beach and earthquake projects or what's it, mitigation, habitat mitigation? Yes.
And now microalgae,
Yes.
microalgae?
microalgae on the rocks, it's on the first.
Micro.
Yeah, that's our newest hurdle, is microalgae.
What was microalgae?
I have no idea, it's something on the rocks.
Well, like what specifically is?
Algae, yeah.
Yeah, it's growing on the rocks in the pedal zone.
Okay,
Sean had to sit through an entire meeting on it.
okay.
So
Well, I guess I don't understand what the mitigation is.
That's what we asked them as well,
Okay.
and they looked at each other and they said, we haven't had to deal with this.
Okay.
But they're
We're really
requiring
good
us to
at
do that.
mitigation when it's shellfish planting, it's done 3 days for that.
What
They can give
occurs,
us some mitigation.
Yeah, but it's when they make it mandatory to getting a permit, it has nothing to do with anything else.
right, because we have to gain entrance, and we have to move, like, the rock thing, we'll have to move it out of the way, so we have to get in, and you're worried about the fact our microalgae, will move the rock to get there.
And they won't, that can't then be a mitigation, like plant 60 bushels of logs on the South River. We love those kind of mitigation.
We have one of those for, PW 825, for the seawall that we already built that we got to reburn.
Right, okay.
So trying to move these projects forward, as you know, since they're so old, there's bi-weekly meetings with the town, and its engineers, and consultants, monthly meetings with FEMA, group meetings with regulatory agencies, which I can tell you are a real hoedown with those. And then higher level meetings seeking assistance from anyone who will help us move these things forward. Recently, we met with the Undersecretary for the Environment and the new CZN Director. And just last week, we met with our new FEMA liaison, who's solely dedicated to Scituate. So we're hoping.
They have a full-time FEMA person solely dedicated.
That's why.
FEMA wants to close, especially Storm Sandy. They
Yeah.
want to close it. Everything is mired down at the state level. with permitting. And FEMA will not move forward without state permitting. State permitting is just, as you know. This is just a map showing where all the PWs are. You'll notice that there seems to be less than 25. That's because one of these got blown up with the 7. So also we have a problem that many of Lou's Storm Riley have not obligated, so they haven't been earmarked for the federal government money, trying to get through that process. Our new friend at FEMA has said he will help us get those obligated. So
can I ask, how many are Sandy? Is that one?
Sandy is
One left and it's
2.
Third Cliff, or which?
It's Third Cliff. It's the orange one. Third Cliff is the only area in Scituate that is affected by all 4 storms.
Third Cliff is the only remaining Sandy one that needs to be closed. Okay.
Correct, but the problem is the damage is interlaced with all the other storms, and the money is segregated. So because the storms came so close to one another, 12, 13, 15, 18, the damages just kept getting compiled. So trying to separate it all out to make FEMA happy is very difficult. So that's what that's a FEMA problem.
Dividing it by 4 would make.
We're just trying to get through the permitting problem.
And the key, just to be clear, the key permitting is with NEPA, or with the state.
Yeah, we need state permit.
Which precisely state agency are we waiting for?
CZM seems to be the big corporate at the bottom.
CZM.
And what happens is CZM says, we want you to do this. And then we pay the consultant, and then we bring it back. And then Fisheries and Marine Fisheries says, well, we don't want to do that, we want you to do this. Then the Army Corps says, well, if you do that, you have to do this. And then DEP says, well, they can do this. Then you back CZM says, well, we don't like that. It's not allowed.
So just, again, for public's and our identification, how many different state agencies do you look like? CZM, Marine Fisheries,
How many
DEP.
areas?
Half a dozen.
Yeah, it's half a dozen. When we do the NEPA permit, it goes to all the bureaus.
So you start with a NEPA review, and then they tell you all the permits you need.
But they never all meet together, correct?
They do now, and that's becoming more problematic.
Great.
But even that doesn't help, Jamie. On the Third Cliff, it's a FEMA project. CZM wants us to do sand nourishment. So you ask FEMA, this is a FEMA project, will you reimburse us 75% of the cost of the sand? We can't tell you that. We did have, as Nancy said, we had an undersecretary out a couple weeks ago. We took her out in the Marine unit. I told her she didn't give me my permit, she wasn't getting off the boat. Lieutenant Norton wouldn't put up with that, but we were able to show her, and Third Cliff using the example, show us where we're gonna get several hundred trucks out here. There's no place to do it. We just can't. We have no access, and Kevin and Sean were very pointed on some of the projects where we're gonna work on that seawall. That rock might be outside the zone of the work we're doing, but we only have 6 hours on the beach. We can't stop working, call you, get permission to move it. You know, so they're just, it's crazy. So it was a good meeting, very candid, like maybe a little more candid than she was used to. But I've had a couple of conversations with her since then. I was on a call yesterday with the Lieutenant Governor. I did the same brain dump on her. So, hopefully they're gonna work on some process changes where this is what you have to do, and then you can get to the finish line. Because it's really, anybody who wants to be on one of those FEMA calls, I welcome you. I was on one. Gentleman started talking about concrete rocks, went to lunch, got my haircut, came back, he was still talking about rocks, concrete density. So Sean handles all those, no, back.
So, Jimmy, have we ever get to state added up all the money that we're not getting because they're not moving along? I mean.
I think the only reason we're getting the permitting on the Oceanside Drive now is because we were in danger of losing the $4 million from the other state agency because we couldn't spend it. I think someone finally said, look, you gotta permit this, what was CZM's, town refuses to do beach nourishment, or something was the comment on the permit, town refuses to do beach nourishment. But now in that same area, I informed the board a couple weeks ago, we now have an undermined portion of the wall. That wall should be done, we started that in 2014. That should be finished, done, out the door. Now we'll get spending money to make repairs on a wall that should already be finished.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is that the federal government is standing by with however many millions of dollars, and the state is the sticking point, I think somebody should make a point of telling them that.
Well,
I'm sure you have, but.
I made the point to Lieutenant Governor, you've now opened an office of federal, basically federal grant to help get federal money. I'm sitting on federal money that I can't spend.
That's right,
Now,
that's,
I have to say, this is not this administration,
no,
like,
but,
this goes back administration after administration, but
but
they
they're,
haven't fixed it
they're the administration now. And this is, they're holding the ball here.
we need to get us so we can get these projects done.
There's all this federal money that we are owed that we're not getting because they're not efficient.
And at some point, we have to worry about the Fed saying, you know what? We're done with that storm, see you later.
We should worry about it.
So, hopefully we'll see, as I said, we had a very good meeting, we had some good talk, so. Hopefully some stuff will stop off, especially the third clip one, that's the one we're really good.
We already lost reimbursement for one of the PWs of 3.5 million because of the state permitting issues. And in the FEMA meeting that we had last week, the FEMA rep said beach nourishment on their clip in there. So no way.
So what I'm gonna do, I'm not paying for it, they're not paying for it, they're not paying for it, I'm not gonna pay for it. Because I'm gonna put the sand on Third Cliff, and then I'm gonna go to the state asking for money to take it out of the North South River, because that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or,
So-
oh, that's.
won't get down, that'll go over.
It seems like it's not going anywhere fast, it's because it's not, but it's not for lack of trying and lack of putting dollars after it.
Well, I don't think anyone here in this group thinks that we're not making the effort. I think it's that if you get all these agencies, especially the state, it seems like they're the sticking point, and someone has to at some point rattle them a little bit and say, you know, this is costing us $25 million in federal money.
Sean didn't have gray hair before we started this.
No, you still don't have much right here.
That's,
You got some more to go. No, you know, I'm preaching to the choir here.
he's married now, it's getting grayer faster.
So moving along to Cole Parkway resiliency, this is another project that's ongoing to reduce flooding in the parking lot as well as help protect the business district. It was a contract award for design and engineering, which was funded $150,000 by Commonwealth and Mass ARPA funds as well as town funds for harbor resiliency. That's a capital project. The project is proceeding with the Cole Parkway redevelopment committee and the lovely work of Corey. Recommendations for further studying capital investment. Corey's already put forward 2 capital projects that are in plan that is due on Thursday. I will be looking for additional design and engineering in 2026 and then construction in 2028. Not to spoil your fun. And this is just a graphic of that area, so people can just wrap their minds around the majority of the issue down there and how anyone stripping out Cold War, whether it does more than a drizzle, knows the issues. So current issues, we have the ongoing permitting struggles, which we have beaten to death in this conversation. We had an emergency repair at 18 Oceanside and 88 Rebecca for storm damage that was on April 29th of this year. And then
Which was one of the walls that was supposed to be replaced a couple years ago.
And then on August 30th, we had the same address, Oceanside, that had an undermining. So we're, we don't know the cost of the emergency repair, and we're trying to do it with materials that we have and our own equipment and people. But again, this is all because the permitting is so delayed, we can't get these projects done. So we're having to hold on to the foreshore funds and not be able to do something like another beach nourishment project, continue with the Scituate beach nourishment, we don't have very much. So,
So when that did happen, our guys came out, they did a great job. It was the Friday just before the long weekend. They stayed, they got a lot of material in there, they stabilized it the best they can. Sean and I have been out there, we were out there yesterday, and they'll probably be up there again tomorrow, take a look at it. We are nervous, but we're monitoring things, we can stabilize it at the moment, but we want to see how well it's to them. But there could be some more money to be expended to try and stabilize that wall in the short term. It is undermining still.
in summary, foreshore protection in Scituate, as you well know, is multifaceted. It's not only studies, planning, grant writing, thank you, Cory, for all you do, designing, permitting, and construction. There's soft solutions such as the beach nourishment and the public burns. There's the hard solution for revetment and seawalls, which is what we're getting most pushback from the permitting and regulatory agencies. But there's also other solutions that have been looked at, managed retreat analysis, home and business elevation that's with Cory's office, and then drainage improvements. These are all combined to address the foreshore issues in Scituate. It's hard to do it fast.
Questions?
Well, you know, I think the state issue is, it's confounding, to say the very least, in a nice way.
That's a nice way of putting it.
I know, and it's good to hear you talk to the Lieutenant Governor. Obviously, I think all of us talk to our immediate representatives. We just have to keep pounding on these people. And, you know, the more organized, the more squeaky wheel you can be, the better things will resolve eventually. Very much I would say earlier.
I have some questions.
But, just for Cory, is there any? The Cole Parkway, I thought at some point there was something, vegetation or something, there was some smaller portion around Cole Parkway. Was it seed plantings of some sort around?
And that's on your next agenda as well, is the whole Parkway update, I think.
Okay.
Oh, no, that's pure.
No, that's today,
Yes.
but next
Okay.
meeting, the whole Parkway update.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I should know that was part of it.
And both Kevin and Sean to number the full parking meetings, and it is, I will tell everyone, an incredible challenge, an incredible challenge. And I wish we could say it was something work on the order of vegetation, but it's not.
It is being looked at before the green emissions.
And one of our challenges is to do it without affecting, and this is my favorite word now, parking. So it's, you know, but yeah, the co-parking committee is on the agenda next.
Yeah.
And I do wanna thank DPW, Sean and Kevin and Cory for all of their work on foreshore, because that's just supposed to be a portion of their work, but it is dominating everything that's going on right now.
This is great, thank you for that, I'd love to get this on the website, the presentation, just so folks can see, because as you said, there is a lot of work that's been done, it's trying to be done. Questions from the public, anyone? Thank you so much.
Trying to get my excitement for seeing under control before the next one.
It'll be the right kind of sand.
Or this is like your meeting the whole time, since you're just
I guess
on all the time, I love All right.
I'll leave that.
it. And Paul, come on up, we're doing the Pier 44 update, in Jericho Road parking, Workowitz, and Rick, how are you?
Great. Good evening, everyone. Great to see you. We last gave you an update in October of last year, so we thought it was appropriate to come back. I'm Paul Barkowitz. I'm chair of the Pier 44 Commission, Scituate Harbor Advisory Redevelopment Commission. We've got representatives from other commissions on our group, including disabilities, recreation, waterways, environmental, economic development, Harbor Cultural District, and the select board, Aaron's liaison, in the select board, and of course, Cory Miles, Coastal Resources Officer. I also want to acknowledge and express appreciation for all the help we've had from the select board, the town administrator, CPC, the advisory committee, and numerous other groups and departments in town. Our mission is to develop a waterfront park. Our vision is to create a space that will be the gateway to Scituate Harbor. It will be part of the fabric of our community for generations. It will be a place where everyone in the community will feel welcome. So we're really excited. There's a lot of hard work that's been done. There's a lot more work to go forward. And tonight, we'd like to just talk a little bit about public outreach. Christine Wilson, who's the team leader for our lead consultant, Copley Wolf, will talk about the current design elements and permitting. And then we'd like to talk about an opportunity for enhancement of parking in the vicinity of the park. So first slide is up. Thank you, Christine. Little background. 2010, the town meeting, the town approved purchasing property with MBTA mitigation funds. In 2011, there was a survey of town departments and commissions that concluded that the best use of the property was for park and recreation, passive recreation. It was an online survey, more than 1,000 people participated. And again, the consensus was best use of the open space recreation. 2012 was a phase 1 report developed. It's a really good report. It's on our SHARC website. The basic recommendation was demolish the existing building and develop a waterfront park. Then between 2012 and 2021, was a hiatus. We didn't forget the park, but the town was certainly busy with other major park projects, public safety, building, library, senior center. So we got back at it in 2021, created our commission, did another online survey, more than 1,000 people participated. A key strategic move in 2022 was to hire the Copley Wolf Design Group. We had 8 responses to our proposal. They were all excellent. And Copley Wolf seemed particularly suited and excited about our project and brought a lot of experience in similar projects. So we're thrilled to have Christine and the Copley Wolf team. Did another survey in 2023, again, really good response. And then in that survey, we focused on involving the community and basically in the design of the park. What features do you want? How do you want to use the park? And that, to a large extent, informed the design going forward. We had in-person meetings in 2023, daytime and an evening, very good attendance. We've met with many groups in town. I'm personally in the mid-90s meetings on this project. So we've tried to, we've talked to the neighbors, the merchants in the area. We talked to the marina that's adjacent to the park. So we've listened, we've tried our best to address concerns in the design and going forward. 2023 in town meeting, community preservation allocated $300,000 for our next phases of design, permitting, environmental review. And that was on top of Metropolitan Area Planning Commission grant award of $100,000. And then in 2023, again at town meeting, we got approval of articles to spend that money. If you recall from that article at the town meeting, with overwhelming support, concepts and the design. So we're really happy with that. And then a huge milestone was in 2024, Mass Environmental Protection issued an environmental certificate, basically indicating or stating that we've complied with all the environmental requirements as far as the state is concerned. So with that background, let's turn over to Christine Wilson. Give us the schedule and design and where permitting process and where we're headed from here. Christine?
Great, thanks, Paul. So this is the schedule in front of us here. Copley Wolf and our whole design engineering permitting team has started working with the commission almost 2 years ago. Paul just kind of went through what we kind of did in 2023. Since Paul and Corey presented the select board last October, we've really been in the throes of moving the project through the environmental permitting process and advancing the design and the engineering. So I just want to kind of bring your attention. There's a couple line items on the left. The MEPA initial submission, that was the 30% design last November. And from that, we had some meetings with the regulatory agencies, and what was asked of this project was that we put forth more information. They asked for 60% design, which honestly our design engineering team hadn't experienced before, but we were contracted to move this project forward, but to 60% design and beyond. So we just kind of gathered together, and last winter we worked with, it was the waterfront engineering team with the architect and their structural engineer and the civil, and my team, the landscape architects, working together with input from the GZA's environmental permitting specialists to push the design along and respond to comments from the various agencies. And we did that 60% submission in early March, and then there was a follow-up submission with supplemental information in April. And as Paul mentioned, very exciting to get that secretary's certificate in May. And then this summer, we've been working with Corey. Corey's done the kind of the paperwork for the NOI. We're looking at going to Conservation Commission next month, and kind of also the Chapter 91 application and Army Corps as well. And then we'll be going to Planning Board, I think, this fall. So that's where we're at with permitting. And again, the design has been advancing along the way. And I just kind of want to take a couple minutes to walk the group through some of those changes. So this was the programming diagram from last fall. And if we move to the next slide, it's really the comfort station that was removed from the project. That was some pushback from regulatory agencies on that fixed structure in the VE zone on the site. In conversations with Corey and the building commissioner, we've gone in the direction of not having a fixed structure, not having the comfort station restrooms be a fixed structure. Instead, it will be a portable restroom trailer, still working through the specifics, but it located on that kind of left portion of the site and in the parking lot. And we're still working through those details. But that was really kind of the biggest move programmatically, a little shifting around of the other programs, but the kind of the framework of the site is still the same. It's just a lot of the details have been advanced. So speaking of which, if we move to the next slide here, I already mentioned that portable trailer, an image of an example up in the left there. A lot of the reworking of the site has been the shoreline, the boardwalk, the earthwork, the molding kind of the topography, working kind of the whole team working together, as well as taking in the input from the regulatory agencies. So I'm actually going to talk through some of those changes using sections on the next few pages, but I just want to draw your attention. If we could just go back one slide. There's the thick black line. It says A and then A hyphen. That's through from like the crosswalk that connects to Scituate Tavern. Through the lawn and the shade structure. That's the first section I'm going to talk about. And then the other one will be the next one will be the one through what we call the promenade, close over to the parking lot. That's the B section there. So if we go to the next slide, here are those sections. So that top one, which is through the shade structure, again, we worked with the waterfront engineer, the structural engineer for the architect to really figure out that the depth of the boardwalk, the number of pilings, the exact location, and the design previously had a retaining wall at the back of the boardwalk. The kind of landscape came up to connect to the back of the boardwalk, and that has been removed in favor of letting the water just flow below the boardwalk and around the site. So not having any, we've removed walls and boulders, any kind of fixed seat walls, just from a hydraulic perspective. So as shown in the kind of the lower section, the points where we connect to the boardwalk from kind of the site out to the boardwalk, those are more bridge walkways opposed to the grade again coming out and meeting the boardwalk. So I would kind of define this as a much lighter kind of lightly touched on the site, I guess, this boardwalk, though of course it's been engineered. The design of it has been advanced and engineered, so it is going to withstand storms now and into the future. So I'm going to continue on to the next slide here. This is a section over on the side of the site. The kind of key map on the top right shows that it's on the side of the private marina. And we've always planned for a rain garden between the walkway that connects up to the boardwalk on the water and that the adjacent property, but that we had the grade coming up a little more quickly and the kind of lawn connecting toward that walk. So it was on grade, and now the boardwalk, I guess fingers I tend to call it, have come out on the site. Again, more of a light touch on the site, some of these walkways, and so the water kind of flows below. In terms of the planting design has advanced native coastal plants, and these are low maintenance plants. Low maintenance is really important to this project. So that is big consideration in all aspects, and further conversations will be taking place with the town and the commission to create as low maintenance a park as possible. If we move on to the next slide. So these are diagrams that came out again from the supplemental information provided for the MEPA process to those agencies. We modeled out the existing conditions at the top there, the proposed conditions below. I'll just note that those renderings down below, like they don't show the site furnishings, the boardwalk railings, the planting is really just showing the kind of framework of the park and really the typography, so we can understand how water will move in or around the site. This is looking way out into the future in terms of, you see 2070 mean high water line way on the future. But this was a request from the agencies to model this out. Moving forward. We have a couple renderings here, just again showing the design of the park, the character of it, these programmatic spaces. This is looking down the promenade out to the boardwalk, that view out to the Scituate Lighthouse, and the lawn on the left, the parking lot just out of view to the right. And then the next view is on the other side. This is if you were walking from the marina or the state boat ramp, or the lighthouse. So you're walking from the north to the site, you come across this small landscape bridge into this site, and there's more of the shade structure that you can see on this end of the boardwalk. And the large open lawn that again was big request from the community is there prominently in this view. And then finally, I just want to mention parking. Right now, the parking lot still has the 13 spaces we did a year ago. So it's just a little bit of an expansion of the parking lot to accommodate that portable restroom trailer. And we also still have the 7 parallel spots on Jericho Road. This is not pushing out into the street as it is today. It's actually shifting the sidewalk in a little bit, and so we'll have a little bit of a wider sidewalk, and then the planting curb extensions shown right here. Those are where the light poles are right now, the overhead light poles. So again, we're not pushing out into Jericho Road to create those. Then I also want to mention, this was brought up, I think, last year as well, the parallel spots over by the state boat ramps. So where it says Jericho Boat Launch down in the lower right, the town has been looking at, this project with 12 additional spaces right here as well. So the same concept as what we see on the park side with those parallel spots.
Yeah, so regarding let me just interject for a second, Christine.
Yeah.
So regarding the insert, we see the parallel parking near the state boat ramp parking area. We request that the town consider that as a town project. It would really enhance parking in the area. It would then provide 32 spaces immediately adjacent to the Pier 44 park, which I think would go a long way to addressing some of the community comments we got about parking. So that's this is similar to what we talked about last October. Go ahead, Christine.
No, thank you, Paul. That was the last slide of the presentation. If any questions at all, I guess I'll open.
Great. Thank you. That was very good. I'll open it up, but I guess I'll say before, there has been a lot of, I don't know why, more recent comments online. Again, as you already said, twice, overwhelmingly, in the surveys, it was 10 years apart for a month. And it's pretty amazing to do that. And then I think you misspoke a little bit. You tried your best. You did the best. This is unbelievable how many different meetings you and both team have done to engage the community. So I'll say thank you for all your work as well. Everyone's fabulous. I'll open it up.
Well, if I could say that what we kind of skipped over, that there were a whole bunch of things we could not do with this space.
True.
We can't keep that building. We can't afford to make it handicapped accessible and to put it above flood zone. We can't do it. So anyone who thinks that we're gonna be able to rent it out as an Italian restaurant, not gonna happen. It can't happen. And we did have great use of the building for that 10-year hiatus that you pointed out between the surveys. And in fact, the library wound up there for quite a while we were rebuilding the library. So the building has lived its useful life. And we are on the water, and we do have to accept the fact that we have restrictions on what we can do, even to the point where one of the permitting agencies didn't like the idea of a boardwalk. Well, because of this flood zone issue. But at the end of the day, most of the town, those who chose to participate, voted for a park. And again, we would have had to elevate the building by how many feet?
10 or 12 feet.
10 or 12 feet.
We would have had for access, we would have had a ramp 120 feet long.
Yeah,
so
and the agencies wouldn't even let us put a building, a restroom, little building on that site. So, as much as everyone thinks, oh, the whole business part. Plus, I just want to encourage people to take a look when you're down there at how often the Scituate Tavern parking lot is empty. It's empty almost always. The boat ramp parking is empty almost always. There comes a point where it's very busy here for a couple of months. And yes, there people have a problem parking sometimes. But But for the most part, parking is really, it's not, in my opinion, the top of my list of things to worry about. And in fact, I think people should walk more. I'll get out myself. But this has been the result of a lot of work and hours and hours and hours, hours of meeting and outreach. And thank you to Tony and Paul for everything they've done, and people, same thing, we've had engineers working on this. Just because we think something can be done, there's a lot more to it than just saying, let's build a playhouse for people. So.
The art of the possible.
Exactly.
The art of the possible.
Yeah.
A couple of points. First, I do commend the ultimate design. It's very impressive. I can remember filling out the survey, and you pretty much addressed what I had put in the survey. Got a couple of questions. I have to say I'm in favor of the addition of the 12 spaces. The next project over here, I think that would be to get you up to 32, which is just about what's there now.
It's about half of what's there now.
As
So,
if everybody behaves the way they park, yeah, true.
which they won't request.
One question I had is, what has the conversation been with the proprietorship of Scituate Tavern, the condition of their parking lot?
Well, we did reach out to the owner of Scituate Tavern, had a great conversation, talked about a little more detail about the park proposal. And so I don't think we got into the condition of that parking lot, but it was a real productive conversation. For instance, I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I think there's certainly a potential for Scituate Tavern having like a takeout lunch available during the week, and wouldn't that be amazing? Get your lunch at your fish and chips at Scituate Tavern, go to the park and enjoy it. Or come in your kayak. We also have, one of the elements is a dock with a ramp. So people could come in on their kayaks and tie up, use the park, go over and again, get a delicious lunch, enjoy it at the park and paddle off.
I think my part of my loaded question there was, I like the Scituate Tavern. They do a great job. They're kind of a big part of the town in terms of where you can go and have a nice meal, family style and all of that. The parking lot that they have right now is in very bad condition. I can remember walking out of there one night after dinner and picking some lady up off the parking lot who had tripped over one of the moved little concrete curbs. Not well lit. I also find that at their busy peak time, which is summertime, the lawn on this side of the restaurant is all parked on, actually the grass lawn. Maybe there's a way that there could be some type of partnership that would consider helping that, which would open up some, I think if their lot was properly graded, structured, and lined, it would give them more parking as well as maybe make it even more, like you said, there's times when there's nobody parking there, well, that's when maybe an event can be going on over there. So I would encourage that public-private partnership conversation even further, because that would just enhance your already superior design. And my compliments to Copley Wolf for really coming to the table and listening to the people. So thank you.
I think that the design is real, I think you did a great job, and I really commend what you've done. I also do want to mention, as far as, there's also bike racks, so every time I drive Jericho Road, there's so many people walk. It is such a path, so I think this is like a natural extension of all those folks that walk for coffee downtown, or do a lot of, so I think there's a lot of foot traffic on Jericho Road. So thank you for the update.
Soon to be more foot traffic.
Yes, soon to be more foot traffic.
I had a couple more comments.
Sure.
Okay, just, Christine mentioned, we're very focused on low maintenance plantings that includes grass areas. So we don't want to have an undue burden on the Department of Public Works. We also plan to have a Friends of Pier 44 group that would provide supplemental funding for whatever's needed at the park. The restrooms we anticipate those will be maintained under contract. The restroom will be probably the firm that provides the portable restrooms. We want those to be really clean and accessible. As you mentioned, just a constant flow of people walking by and bicycling by, and so that's an amenity we heard in surveys and at the public meetings. So we certainly want to retain that feature. Also wanted to mention that we appointed Patrice May from the Department of Cultural District and Tracy Johnston from the Recreation Commission as a committee to work with Copley Wolf on integrating historic, artistic, cultural, recreational elements to the park design, make sure determine what will be part of the contract, what won't be, that the design has space for the bike rack, for instance, and we certainly want artistic features, historic and cultural features and bike racks and elsewhere in the park. So I mean, it's just amazing all the great work that's being done by so many people that are participating in creating this park. Very excited about it.
Well, this is great. No, I mean, it's a long time coming. There's been so much hard work, and yeah, I think it's time for us to start getting more excited about it. I think we should go forward. Thank you.
Great. It's good. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now, up next, Steve Rafferty, Ty Bond, recurring, come on up. Water treatment plant, Academy. Well, I wrote you, come on, if you want, get on behind the background. Okay. All right, so how's everything going?
So everything's going great. As we said, we would be doing quarterly updates to the board for the status of the water treatment plant. So tonight, Rob Little, Lauren and Steve to come in and talk about where we are with the water treatment plant. We're just getting started and I won't talk too much. I'll let Lauren take over and we'll update.
Yeah, we're a month into the contract and everybody's working as a team. It's going as smooth as it could go at this point, a lot of paperwork. We are still focused on come summer of 2027, we have a new water plant ready for me. Lauren Frank is the project manager. She's sort of the point person who she's going to give you a detailed update on what we've done, what we're going to do, the overall schedule.
Yeah, thank you. So we issued our notice to proceed on August 8th. That's when the contract can start, so 2.5 years from then, as Steve said, brings us to spring 2027. And I'll kind of give you a high level overview of what the next 2.5 years are going to look like, and then I'll step back and talk about what we've done and what we can do over the next few weeks. So we've been working closely with Planning Board, Conservation, and DPW, Water Department, to just do all the pre-construction work. So the site was surveyed and the limit for staked, when we put work hearing. We did a site work with the Planning Board last week in conservation. The police were also at that meeting to discuss, logistics along the road while they begin hearing. Erosion control has been set up. We can take that today, and a site walk will be happening with Planning Board and Conservation later this week. So once that's done, we should be ready to start clearing, which is going to start next week. Start clearing the site. We'll be clearing 5 acres at a time. And then following that, they'll start with, excavation for the critical path to the building. Start excavation, concrete should be starting for late October and last through June of 2025. And then from there, the critical path, again, is just getting the building up and watertight, which should be happening by fall of 2026. Fall of 2025, yeah, fall of 2025. And then they can start the process work, the HVAC work, mechanical work, all that's expected to take a year. So by the fall of 2026, we should be ready to start up late fall, winter 2026. And then following that work, they'll move down to demo the existing plant. First, upgrade the water. So that's big picture.
Big picture. All right, and so when you said October, so 5 acres at a time, next week, so it's gonna start clearing.
Yep.
Folks are we're gonna get phone calls right away.
Yep.
So next week, about 5 acres, another week after that, so 2 or 3 weeks of clearing. And then by Thanksgiving, you said it's the concrete.
Concrete, late
So this year,
October,
so
yeah.
this October.
Yeah, late October.
Concrete is going in the ground.
Yeah.
I was trying to be
Yes.
like a dummy, what's actually happening.
Yes, October to June is concrete.
Or so you take a break during winter or?
No, they pour through the winter.
Oh, we pour concrete right through the window.
Really?
Yep.
Why not?
So obviously, it's common sense, if it's 0 degrees out for a month, up to 3 weeks, they're probably not gonna fall, because it's not cost prohibitive to heat concrete and build it up. But if we have weather like we did last year, they'll continue to go all the way through. Because it gets a lot more expensive, you have to do winter concrete, you have to heat it, you have to do tourniquets, and maintain concrete, so you can do product price. So that'll be the only issue. We say, yes, we're planning on pouring all year, but again, could be some issues.
We have many QAQC procedures in place for that. We have a third-party company that's used, so sure about that goes well.
Great.
So yeah, so other than that, behind the scenes, they're submitting shop drawings for materials and equipment they plan to use. They're reviewing and approving them as quickly as possible, coordinating with them multiple times a day on various things. We've been working very well together so far. I know it's early, but it's a great team. They seem very capable of moving this forward. And we're also committed to provide you guys with updates. Kevin requested a weekly meeting on site with the contractor. Police are invited to that to coordinate meetings.
And so the start of the parade, it's like, the start is always important, right? So you get off track at the start, so it's good, everything's happening. Anything you should be looking for, you should be looking for when we're clearing, moving the concrete, that you're saying, hey, this is where an issue might happen, everything wrong. Good spot as a town.
They walked through the planning board and Concom last week. Very detailed list of planning board, and everybody checked off on all of that. So to elaborate a little more on the initial 5 acres, it's gonna be the more western side of the site. They're gonna cut the trees down, then they're gonna work on some other sort of temporary facilities to control runoff and everything. Then they're gonna pull the stumps out and continue to make those temporary facilities control runoff. Then they're gonna be working on making bigger bases, and they're gonna cut the trees and stuff like that. They're gonna work on a 5 acre section for a couple of weeks, getting a wall.
Yeah, that's not.
And then we move into place, then they'll clear off the other roughly 5 acres, so. 4.5, 5 the first time, 4.5 or something the second. And then the other sort of element that people may see or interact with, there's a moment in time where we've got to make curb cuts to make the road access. And that'll happen in October right now. So for a couple of days.
This October.
This October.
Oh,
Yeah, so this is what the whole access to the site. permanent
Oh,
access.
okay.
But there'll be a couple of cops out there that might be a little traffic issue, a day or two while we're making the entrances. Once the entrances are made, it's good.
I think the answer to your question is kind of the first, where we might have a problem is when you start your excavation. That's where your first moments could happen, where you find ledge or something, anticipated, but the stuff you're doing now, you shouldn't have any moments until you start digging.
So, runoff. We know there was some letters circulated earlier on the commencement of the project about some of the neighbors concerned with runoff. I can assume then that's being addressed.
So it is,
It
the
sounds like you
a
are.
third party, GZA, is doing a study on it. One of the things they're gonna do is part of the clearing of the 5 acres in one of the mooring, locating the water table, they help control it, finish the plan to control the water and make improvements. They have one that's already been submitted and we approved, but they want to expand on it and get more information on it before they finalize. So we're happy with that, and I mean, I'm pretty happy that they have BCA involved on the water also.
Thank you.
You'll also see a fence going around the site, with probably a 5-foot chain link fence going around the site, just to protect people, so people don't get access to the excavation.
Yeah, in reference to that, I think I saw one letter, but it was a fairly detailed letter from, I think she must be the butter, not the bottom of the Tap Factory pond, about all the issue with runoff. I guess my question is, I actually went through all the meeting minutes of planning board to read all of the information about the project. God bless me, is right. I'm never getting that time back. But it seemed pretty clear to me that there were a lot of very detailed questions asked about just that. And it sounds like if you're taking the planning board out there and taking Concom out there, if it would be appropriate, maybe it wouldn't be, I'm not trying to interfere, but if that woman who wrote that letter is notified that there's gonna be a walk, would it be appropriate to say you're welcome to come along?
I generally don't invite people on walks because of liability issues. She falls, she gets a tick, but we have her phone number, she's in constant contact with Kevin and I. That's why the retention basins go in first before we do anything else, to make sure once we start the rest of the work, nothing's in the site. But just so the board knows, that the rule is no additional runoff. So there'll still be runoff on the site that occurs now. But there won't be any additional runoff. That's the rule. We can't stop all the runoff from the site.
And how do you measure that? Do we have a measurement?
Yeah, there's
It
a whole plan for that.
That says this is what it currently is?
Way back at the beginning, it was looked at like vegetation, rainfall, slope, and calculations were made as to how much runoff is occurring on
Is current,
at the different times.
based on different, I guess, times a year. I mean, right now, there's no runoff anywhere, is there? We're in a mini drought at this point. But
We're still in hurricane season.
that's right, we are, anything. I guess I want to be sure that, you know, we promise to be transparent with everyone in town. And we're all suffering from the same problem that all small communities are. We have a local radio station, that's what we have. We don't have a newspaper. We don't, the Boston Globe doesn't even have a station. So it's a bit of an information vacuum.
Sorry, you mentioned the radio station.
I know, where is it?
He went down the hall, let me back.
I said it, because he's here.
Let me back, it's like, really?
So whatever we can do to keep the website up to date in terms of literally, I would like to not pull on the water department website and see something that is from 2 years ago at the top.
Which we're notorious for, we're not, where people are not good at that, and that's something we have to improve on, so we'll try to improve that.
What I know what the recurrence to that. I know they can help, because seriously, even part of this, like the documentation of like the before and after, right? Because if the person that is there, we can just get some video or some pictures of what it was before and after, just so people are seeing the progress. Because also this is a, you know, it's a big historic event, people want to see before and after. Sorry.
Yeah, I have a bunch of questions. Was there backup for this agenda item?
No.
So we had 12 agenda items tonight, and you are the only folks that did not give us backup. So I guess my expectations is our project plan. Is
I have
there a summary of key tasks that have happened since the last update? what are your key tasks between this update and the next update? What are your risks that you've identified? How have you mitigated those risks? This project did not start off right as far as funding. You should come prepared and we should get a backup. And then that information, how are you gonna communicate it to the town? I'm just, like, this didn't meet my expectations for like a quarterly update. And I just scribbled notice to proceed August 8th, seem capable, weekly meetings, fall 2025, like, that's not the kind of updates this town needs for this size of this project. So I would appreciate a little bit more prepared the next time you're here, and maybe come more frequently than quarterly if we're just gonna get a conversation. Because I'm still confused as to what's happening and when we're digging, and I would rather have it as like a date in a project plan that I can then say, did we meet that expectation? This town's not super happy with the project right now. We're already over budget, so we have to perform to the level where we will meet our timelines. And that's why you all are hired. So I'm hoping we get maybe additional backup from this update, and then moving forward, we're actually getting legitimate project updates as a professional project management firm.
No, I would say that the next quarterly update will be more expansive and more detailed.
But I want the whole plan, like, the whole plan, and detailed as to like what you've done, where you are, where you're going, every time.
I'm just trying to figure out exactly kind of what format you're looking for. I have.
Do we have a Microsoft project? What are
Yeah,
you
I mean,
using for your software? Excel project?
We'll have, I mean,
I'm
Lauren read off.
As long as it has dates and timelines.
Yeah, Lauren read off big blocks of things that are going to be happening. Those can easily be arranged from Microsoft Project into a more bar chart form, so you can see how the steps are gonna be, and then a moving timeline of where we are.
I have the contractor schedule. You haven't gotten it because I had questions for them on it tonight.
Okay.
I talked about before, so you'll have this tomorrow, which is it's kind of hard to read, but you get an idea of when he's scheduling to do everything that he wants to do. But I didn't want to give it to you because I couldn't answer the questions.
Okay,
So
great.
you'll have that tomorrow.
Another visuals would be very helpful. When you said 5 acres westerly of the site, most people don't know what that means. Unless you actually down, stand there and put your compass out and go, okay, fine, and walk it out, but you don't want to do that anyway, so you don't want it on your property. So even some visuals like, okay, this is the area we're gonna be working in. That's helpful. It's a visual world, and I agree with my colleague here that there's a lot of people watching this. And when Andrew said, once you start cutting trees, there's gonna be a lot of phone calls. If we could kind of take some of that surprise away in advance with some drawings, might help you. Might help with the public relations side of things, and as well, getting some help to get the website. I haven't looked myself, so I'm ignorant of that, but I'm sure there's lots of viewers that would appreciate that, and you would mitigate the surprise element. Anyway.
Anything else, or?
No. We will be back next time with better visuals, because there'll be things to actually show.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Pam, we have special vote approval of loan number EW 23-125.
Yes.
How are you?
Good, how are you? Evening, everyone. So speaking of the water project, the town has just approved for an interim loan from the Mass Clean Water Trust for $15 million. So, this is for whatever eligible cost for the project will incur, we can pay it through this loan. So I'm just here to get your approval and sign off on the loan, please.
What else should we know about this? Just
Well, it's an
Also back to
interim
time.
loan and it will mature in August of 2027. Right now, it's a 0% interim loan. So this is just for this loan only.
can you do any better than 0? No.
Um, this,
So this is the interim loan for 15 million, 0%.
I was looking at
It's split.
the one above.
If you
The
go down,
savings of $2.7 million.
there's backup there, it's just the
Yeah.
next.
That's the
one.
next, that's the one I'm looking at.
Perfect.
Yeah,
That's the next one. Okay.
All right,
page 64.
yes, the motion's on 63 and info more
And
info
all
on
the-
64.
So unfortunately, I need you to read the vote.
Maybe that's you right there.
So well, first we do the motion to approve and then he reads it all.
Yes, please.
Is that,
I'll vote to approve.
all right, so do you want to do the motion first to vote to approve?
Okay,
And then he reads all
so, that the board approve an interim loan from the Mass Clean Water Trust in the amount of 15 million for the surface water treatment plant and adopt the vote prepared by bond council. And that's you now, read.
Hold on. Just Jim,
Oh, we have to vote. and
we
then-
vote and then he reads it.
Need a second.
Yeah. All right, so moved by Ms. Harrison, seconded by, Ms. Conley. Ms. Conley, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous. And now, I believe you have to do your little micro machine guy.
It's not that
Here we
bad.
go.
Vote of the select board, I, the clerk of the select board of the town of Scituate, Massachusetts, certify that at a meeting of the board held September 10th, 2024, of which meeting all members of the board were duly notified, at which a quorum was present, the following vote was passed, all of which appears on the official record of the board in my custody. Voted, item 1, that the town shall issue a bond or bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $50 million, the bonds pursuant to chapters 29C and 44 of the general laws, and a vote of the town passed April 11th, 2022, Article 5, and excluded from the limitations of proposal 2 1/2, so called by a vote of the town passed May 21st, 2022, question 1, for planning or construction of drinking water infrastructure project. Item 2, that the terms of the financing agreement or agreements between the town and Massachusetts Clean Water Trust, the financing agreement and the project regulatory agreement or agreements between the town and the Department of Environmental Protection of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, DEP, the project regulatory agreement, each relating to the notes and the bonds are hereby approved. Item 3, that in anticipation of the issuance of the bonds, the treasurer is authorized to issue an interim loan, note or notes, from time to time in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $50 million. Item 4, that each bond or note shall be issued as a single registered security and sold to the trust at a price determined pursuant to the financing agreement. Item 5, that the treasurer is authorized to determine the date, the form, the maximum interest rate, and the principal maturities of each bond and note, and to execute a financing agreement with the trust with respect to the sale of the bonds and the notes. Such date, form, and maturity, and the specific interest rate or rates of the bonds and notes to be approved by a majority of the select board and the treasurer, and evidenced by their execution of the bonds or notes. Item 6, that any certificate or documents relating to each bond and notes, collectively the documents, may be executed in several counterparts, each of which shall be regarded as an original and all of which shall constitute one and the same document. Delivery of an executed counterpart of the signature page to a document by electronic mail in PDF file or by other electronic transmission shall be as effective as delivery of a manually executed counterpart signature page to such document. And electronic signatures on any of the documents shall be deemed original signatures for the purposes of the documents in all matters relating thereto having the same legal effect as original signatures. Item 7, that all action taken to date by the town and its officers and agents to carry out the project and its financing, including the execution of any loan commitment or agreement by the treasurer, are hereby ratified, approved, and confirmed. And item 8, that the treasurer and other appropriate town officials are hereby authorized to take any and all actions necessary or convenient to carry out the provisions of this note, including execution and delivery of the financing agreement and the project regulatory agreement relating to the project. I further certify that the agenda for the meeting, a copy of which is attached here too, was posted on the bulletin board of the town at least 24 hours before the meeting in compliance with section 7-11 of the town charter. I further certify that the vote was adopted at a meeting open to the public, that no vote was taken by secret ballot, that notice stating place, date, time, and agenda of the meeting, which agenda included the adoption of the above vote, was filed with the town clerk, and a copy thereof posted in a manner conspicuously visible to the public at all hours in or on the municipal building at the office of the town, that the office of the town clerk is located, or, if applicable, in accordance with an alternative method of notice prescribed by, or approved by the Attorney General, as set forth in 940 CMR 29.032B. At least 48 hours, not including Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays prior to the time of the meeting, and remain so posted at the time of the meeting, that no deliberations or decisions in connection with the sale of the bonds or notes were taken in executive session, that the official record of the meeting was made available to the public promptly and remains available to the public, all in accordance with GLC 30A, sections 18 through 25 as amended. I further certify that the vote has not been amended, supplemented, or revoked, and remains in effect on this date, dated September 10th, 2024. Clerk of the Select Board.
Good job.
Thank you for doing that. Again, we're mandated a lot to do that, that we all feel so much better educated
We do.
about sale and purchase of bonds.
Will do.
Yeah.
All right.
I just want to thank Kevin and Nancy and everybody that worked hard on getting this one approved, because the paperwork is huge. Thank you all.
Yeah. All right, did you you and Nancy up for the?
Yeah, I'll stay.
And,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, do you want to, let the board review folk out ahead of us, or are you going to make them sit through financial policies?
Well,
It seems cruel and unusual punishment.
And what, I'm making one sure.
Do you want to do the refunding first, or do you want to let them, say about the back out?
no, we can, you mind?
I'm
Shouldn't
gonna
take
be, I'm gonna be here.
Okay, perfect. All right, come on, do the drift in.
We love the drifting.
Come on up, sorry, let me just give me a second to find the right page. Sure.
I just thought financial policy would be so exciting for you.
All right, so this is, extension, term.
So,
Yeah, for the year, 4th year.
So when the clubhouse was finished, we did put out a procurement for the restaurant. It was a 3-year term with 2 one-year extensions. Believe it or not, the Drifton has been open for almost 3 years. They're at their 3-year anniversary in March. So they would like to execute the 1-year extension. Hopefully you feel the same way. We did provide you in your backup history of the payments that have been made to date on the lease, and the original procurement provided what the amounts would be if there were extensions. So the 4th-year extension would be $34,728.75 base, and then 3% for gross sales over $100,000.
First of all, how have things been going?
No complaints.
No,
Come on.
well, I just one question. And we want to keep building there. And like last year, we put in the outside of the ton, okay? And, you know, added to it, costs us money and stuff like that. We want to keep building there. But you kind of can't do another one of these, you know what I mean? And we want to work with the town, we want to work with the EE, we want to work with everybody. Just want to get anything right. Instead of saying one, we go to, I'm very happy with the one. Very happy. But we want to put more money into the drift stuff.
So you're looking at what's kind of, well, I don't know the temperature first, let's talk about the temperature, what we think, how things are going, the drift in, and everything. Before we get there,
Yes, let's start with the basics.
where are we? But that's good, because we
Yeah.
didn't get there.
We just want you to know that we want to build a big house. To help the town, and keep putting money in. We're very happy with the 1-year lease.
Yeah.
We just want to know.
We want to keep working together with the town, and so that makes sense, 1 year versus.
Well, yeah, I can see where you wouldn't want to invest money in something and we have to negotiate a lease every year.
Yeah.
So I understand that, I don't disagree, I have an overall question, Jen. Is there buildable space down there?
Not that much, they're small outside space.
Well, I don't know what they want to do, and in fact, I will say that I wasn't very happy with being presented with the outdoor plan at the town meeting last year and had 2 minutes to go, oh, okay. So I would like to think that it would be nice if we knew, and we're not necessarily involved in the building process or the permitting process, but, you know, so I just got my 2 cents in that. I agree with you, I would want more of
Yeah.
We didn't put anything in there this last month. We went through the board, we done everything above board.
Well, it got handed to the select board
Yeah.
at the very last minute, right? We were given plans put in front of us
Yeah.
and said,
Yeah.
you gotta vote on
We
this.
apologize, that was it.
Yeah.
I think
If it's one thing from where we're coming from, and another thing where you're
Correct.
coming from, there's something in the middle that went wrong. Wasn't us, wasn't you.
and you know, people ask me all the time, what's going on down in the Dunkin' Donuts that's closed? And I always say, I have no idea. And the reason I don't is because that doesn't come before us unless there's a transfer of a license. But I think given the fact that this particular situation requires a vote of us because it's a case.
Yeah.
And I think that to Andrew's point, we do have an interest in knowing how things are going down there, and I'm
So
only asking,
every single thing that was kept before the board, we were told about it, we paid. Financially, myself and Mick paid.
yes,
We got a separate company that paid for it. We done all of it, everything,
which
not
I,
one penny came out of the.
which I also understand, which is why the board voted on it.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a big fuss about it,
I mean,
but
yeah, we
I've
were,
not forgotten that, I was not happy that we just got.
yeah,
We're very happy with the 1 year.
we've no problem with that, but
We
we
just
don't
wanna-
wanna get.
We just want to, like, going forward.
I would also like to put on the record that myself and Mick have a paycheck in a year to make sure that we have the funds to pay for that for the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not doing our bits.
We're happy where we are. We are
Yeah.
very happy. Don't get me wrong, very happy. I'm very happy with the 1 year. We want to build on what's solid there, right? I look at other, you know, golf courses and stuff like that.
They're closing.
So we want to add to it because I see the potential. It's very, very good. Ian, the project is very, very fast. I see the potential. But very happy 1 year, but like, we do wanna keep throwing money in. 1 year is like, plus, but if we can get the 1 year now, and then talk about after.
I just have a question, how was this structured in the beginning, was it where it was set out to bid and restaurants bid on it?
Yes, it was
So that's why,
a
okay,
5-year contract.
5-year
with
contract.
3 years and then 2 1-year extensions.
Okay, so we're
And
kind
the
of,
reason was like, right, for the company that, for the business that came in was, yeah, like, it's a
Right.
total disaster.
but so our
We got an out.
options as a town would be to re-procure early.
You could cancel
You
the
could,
citizen
or you
for-
could do the 1 year and re-procure early.
You could do the 1 year and at the next meeting, talk about the second year, that's still left.
Yeah.
There's 2 1-year extensions, we were just talking about the first one.
But if the contract says you have to do it, can you do it together? I'm not sure.
You could do it together tonight if you want to, except the agenda only lists the 1 year extension.
Second. Do
Well,
1 year and
the
then.
next meeting, we could grant for the following 5th year that was in the contract.
Yeah, you certainly could, I mean,
Yeah,
you're
I
happy
think
with
that's what
this.
you're asking for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're willing to do what we've already done, we've showed you what we've done, we'll do it again, we've no problem with it. But we need time to build it, do
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And it's only getting better, Ian's only getting better, the draft's only getting better, between ourselves and Ian, we've built something, you pull us out, you're back to square.
Well,
one. It's gonna cost.
That's where I want to live.
Yeah,
We just-
it is.
Yeah, we just wanna keep building, because next year we wanna do something outside again, which we will let you know about, and Dean, some more with it. But we can't just keep throwing money in
And not know,
And, yeah.
we're your general.
My thought is we should give them the first year, the year that they're entitled to, because they're doing a good job, and then at our next meeting, vote on the, give them the 5th year. At our next meeting, when it's on the agenda.
Okay.
Some rules,
Yes,
right, assuming that council.
I wanna make sure we're doing it right, guys. I don't have the contract in front of me.
Right, but we can certainly do.
Yeah,
a motion
agree,
tonight,
agree.
and then-
I
What are your
agree.
thoughts? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my, I mean, and hitting it out of the park, you guys are, I mean, it's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I mean, to start over at this point, everything's going great.
I'm happy you want to continue investing.
Yeah.
It's the best news, you know, you could give us.
We're talking golf simulators, but I'm just kidding. Just wait.
Don't look over here, look over here.
There we go, yeah. Make it more year round.
Yeah.
Talking about that, would be fabulous.
I know, right?
So, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to, it seems we're all on board just doing the one and then we're, I mean, coming back, what, next week for the second one, it's just, because we want to make sure,
It's gonna be on the agenda, it's
gonna be an agenda, you gotta post it, and
Yeah.
rules and how.
Rules, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
That'd be
Ready
great.
to make a motion?
Yeah. Please,
Move that the select board exercise the 1-year lease extension option for months 37 through 48 for the restaurant at Widows Walk Golf Course to the current lessee Drift Inn LLC pursuant to the current lease agreement. That's what we can do tonight.
Yeah.
and then we'll, we'll assign for next meeting, the second.
Yeah.
Right, next year.
Second.
So moved by, Mr. Gilmore, second by Ms. Conley, all those in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
Take a seat next week.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, or I mean,
Thank you.
yeah, are we meeting?
No,
Or next
no,
meeting?
it's 21,
Next
next
meeting.
meeting.
Next meeting.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Same to you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. And what about the
Yeah.
refunding? There's a refund?
So this is good news, as Susan and Andrew already know,
Yeah.
at the financial forecast meeting meeting, Peter Gates mentioned to all of us that we should take a look at our 2015 bond as it was coming due for a call. And Pam routinely takes a look at them, but this bond wasn't ready to be called yet. It told to be ready for 5 more days. But as soon as we left that meeting, Pam raced back to town hall, immediately sent an email out to our financial advisor, and they got back the response that we have in front of us, that if the board recommends it, Pam will move forward with an immediate refunding of the 2015 bond, which was the largest bond the town's ever issued for over $80 million, which included the middle school, the public safety complex, the library, and a significant amount of the original $20 million for the water mains. The savings that's projected based on the initial bond refunding is $2.7 million. So it is significant savings. And did have a call with the financial advisors today to discuss, well, what if we need it? Now that the Fed has announced that they're going to cut rates, and their recommendation was to move forward because we don't know what the future will hold. Right now, we have savings, and what they're seeing in the market is that the market is already adjusting for what the Fed has announced. They gave the example this morning, the 20-year bond that they issued that day with 3.19. This will be a 15-year. So to be very clear, this is not extending the payment term. There was a call feature in this 25-year bond. We're just calling it down, reissuing it, and taking advantage of the lower interest rates for the remainder of 15 years. And the only things left in this bond are the 3 debt exclusions and the water main replacement. So it's a win on both sides. Citizens will get, taxpayers will get a break, not a huge break, but some break for the next 15 years on those 3 projects. They were all debt exclusions, and it also help with the water as well, because all of these all this debt service is already built into the rates.
Is there anyone, not tonight, but at some point, even, I don't care if it's $1.25, whatever that, just love to know that number, or what would be the average.
Are you asking whether or not I did a back of the envelope kind of analysis?
Yes.
You know I did. Let me get my other piece of color 11 by 17. You know I had to do it.
I know you'd have.
Estimated over the remaining 15 years, it would be a $271 savings for those 3 debt exclusion projects, based on the $921,000 average home price right now. That's about a 4.4% savings. So fiscal 26 to fiscal 40, those 15 years, without anything happening, is estimated to cost $6,174. If we did all of these savings, it would go down to $5,900. Said it's not huge, but every little bit will take.
Absolutely. 270, or yeah.
Given the exercise we went through to fund the water treatment plant.
We'll take it.
And good news.
The debt exclusion are about
$18 a year.
86% of this
We'll
issue.
take it.
And then the rest of it is all just be helpful with the water debt service.
Yes, awesome.
And we will likely include a couple of new issues in with this one, so we can maximize issuance costs. We're gonna do a refunding, we might as well issue something else out. And that would be $1.50 million for the high school locker rooms, which was supposed to be done by June. $100,000 for the FEMA design, because we're running out of FEMA design, but it's a surprise on that one. And then $2.4 million for water main replacement, which is already obligated.
It's all good news. Questions, comments, concerns?
If you're good with this, this would be coming back to you potentially for an award on your October 8th meeting. That is how quickly this is.
All right. So,
Great.
we both move to authorize the treasurer collector. I have a motion.
Move that the select board authorize the treasurer collector to move forward with a current refunding of the 2015 general obligation bond.
Moved by Mr. Gilmore, seconded by Ms. Conley. All those in favor?
Aye.
It is unanimous. Pam, thank you so much. Nancy, thank you. It's
Good
awesome.
deal.
Yes.
Peter, thank you.
That's
No. Peter gets an attaboy.
Well, we were gonna do it anyway.
I was just gonna say, something would,
But just not this soon,
Yeah.
just so you know.
if was callable, no, I mean, our financial people would have to.
We all work together.
They
It's
would have,
all
but
it's fabulous.
I definitely want to give a call out to Peter because he mentioned it and,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm with you. I'm
And
not
also he
taking
knows
anything
that-
away from Peter, but.
When Peter says something, actually do listen to him.
You listen, you do listen.
We have evidence now.
All
We're
right.
gonna do these later.
It's only,
It's
it's
not,
15.
Jason, I haven't, no, we're doing this.
It's not 10:30.
We are doing
Let's do
this.
it, yes, okay.
Okay, so this is only presentation only, there's no votes being taken.
That is,
Perfect.
So I hope you all enjoy
that's Jen's actual.
the
EKG.
fiscal,
The
Financial
fiscal
health.
heartbeat.
yes,
It's a heartbeat,
I keep having to explain my choices.
We don't, I completely don't.
So as we discussed, we're gonna look at the financial policies in bite-sized approach. We're gonna do 3 policies at each meeting, and then at the 4th meeting, vote on them if you're ready. So this is the schedule for looking at these. At this meeting, we're going to look at investment, continuing disclosures, and financial reserves. And then you can see the schedule for the next 3. I've already built all 3 presentations because I'm just so excited about it. And they're being reviewed. Joe is with us. Thought a little bit more from him tonight. So just wanted you to understand that both Joe and Pam, as well as Jim and I, have all looked through these. The investment policy,
Who's Joe?
Joe DeVito, we had a member of the finance team. I have to apologize.
That's all right, no, I was like,
Director of Assessing, Joe DeVito.
got it, thank you.
Revenue.
The investment policy, which is exhibit A of the existing policies, there's nothing that has changed, so we're not recommending any changes to this. The only thing that we would say is to add a reporting requirement, which is something that is current practice. And that reporting requirement shows where the money's invested, what the weighted rate of return is by account type, and proof that the cash is reconciled with the treasurer collector of the town account, with an explanation of any variance. So I think those are key things that need to be, that the board and town administration should be aware of on a local basis.
Just level set people at home here. Again, part of all this too is one of the goals. It's gonna help with our bond rating, possibly if they have it. That's one of the things we need to do. But also, it's good practice. Yeah, that's just a lot of it.
These were adopted in 2012, so it's good to take a look at them and see if they still fit.
I'm not trying to cause any trouble here, but do all of these policies also relate to the school department, the school committee, or is this just town,
No, this is the financial policies for the town.
not for the schools?
No, it's for everybody because they apply. to
Well, we
everybody.
talk about the town and we talk about the schools, so I just wanna be clear, this financial policies that will be followed by the town side of our government and the school side of our government.
Yes,
Okay, thank you. 'Cause
and
when I
there will
see-
be things with, as we go through, that we'll call out and say this could be problematic, so that we want you to take a look at.
All right, thank you.
The continuing disclosure procedures, they were revised in 2022 by bond council. Pam sent them back out to bond council, they said they're fine as is, so we're not recommending any changes to those. So we're 2 down, back down to just a third we're gonna talk about tonight. This would be reserves, and I brought this one up first because this could affect select board decisions on the proposed article for the November special town meeting to increase reserves. And we all know what reserves do for the town, you know, especially for Scituate, why they're important. We've used our stabilization fund to support us during storm costs. We saw with the public safety complex and the water treatment plant, having stabilization funds, capital stabilization funds does help us when bad things happen. So I'm not gonna read these to you, you have seen the policies, this is taken verbatim out of the proposed policies. The first one would specify what the limit would be for policies. And also specify that they may maintain a policy for the enterprise funds. So not all of the enterprise funds have capital stabilization funds, 4 out of 5 of them do. If one does not have one, that's waterways. The Waterways Commission does not support creating one. So this is where you may see some type of hole. So that's why those words are underlined. Shall on the town, on the stabilization, the main one, stabilization, capital stabilization, may on the enterprise ones. We can talk about where these percentages would fall. as well. We just wanted to lay that out for you to begin with. And the emergency reserves that we have in the operating budgets, they vary by enterprise fund, and not all enterprise funds have them. So that's something else that we want to have in that. Shall it be a shall or shall it be a may? So as you recall, the sewer reserve, we put that back after we raised the rates. But we couldn't afford it when we first put in the budget. Reserve policy 3 speaks to the amount of free cash and where it fall. And we're also taking out things like debt exclusions, because those are large amount of monies that were voted separately. So they should be considered as part of the operating revenue. The board may decide that they don't want to do this 2% or 10% operating revenue. They may just want to say, okay, a budget. Whatever the prior year's budget is, that's where we want to stay. These are up to you to decide. Just to give you a sense of where we've been, at the bottom in blue will be current practice or historical range. So we are currently in that range.
So I'm sorry, can I go back? Why, so now this makes sense, because I was like, why is waterways at 0 further down? So reserve policy 2, it looks like transfer and waterways at 0. So they just, it's recommended to do it, but committees don't want to do it.
Well, this is where we get into,
Like
Karen's
at
point earlier, if you
what
adopt these
point is
policies.
it not their decision?
Well, if you adopt these policies, you also appoint you also appoint the waterways commission. You could just say no, even though you're not recommending it, we want it to happen. If you don't want to go down that road, then we would leave it as a may.
But you're saying a minimum of 10,000 to 50,000 is recommended, then why would we let them do anything less?
That's up to you. Because you would then have to direct them if they are not supportive of it. It's only waterways that has its own commission. Widows Walk has been disbanded, and the other 3 fall under the DPW, which as the commissioners.
But we had 0 at transfer station too oh no, now we don't anymore, we used to. We used to, okay, and now we don't, so now waterways just kind of sticks out as the only one.
And that's on the emergency reserve, which is policy 2, and then on, when you get into the, capital stabilization funds as well.
Okay.
So let me understand, we can't say at the current scenario, we can't say waterways, you shall.
You can.
We can.
Can they be out of compliance if we did? Is I think what I'm hearing.
We didn't have a policy that said we're going to establish these. We put it out there as we were establishing them, and they were like, we don't see the point, we have retained earnings, why put the money from retained earnings over there? We can get through, it requires a town to vote. So it wasn't something to die on the sword, right? But if you adopt a policy, then we have to say, no, look, we adopted this policy, we want you to do it.
So when we're evaluated for bond ratings and whatnot, is this something they look at?
I think if they get into the weeds with it, they may say why. And that would be our explanation.
Didn't want to.
Because
Well,
we
no,
have
because
an
you-
appointed body that does what they wanna do. Okay, that's a great
That's the way
explanation.
it sounds.
Yeah, but I mean, you have 4 enterprise funds that you control and 1 enterprise fund that you have a separate commission.
That we also control,
Yeah.
like we appoint them, so it's not a good law.
I think it should be consistent across the board.
I do too, that's why
Good
I'm like
conservative,
mentioning this.
Good economic, thing.
So the mays will be converted to shalls.
Yeah.
4th policy speaks to retained earnings. This one gets a little tough, because of where all of the different enterprise funds range. We have the water enterprise fund, which has $6 million, $7 million budget, and you have the waterways and golf enterprise funds that have a $1.5 million budget. So trying to come around to a dollar figure is an issue. The other question is there a minimum that you always want to maintain? So do you always want to have at least $250,000 of retained earnings and you never go below that no matter what's going on, or the like? So I gave you some examples of what retained earnings have been from all of the different revenue,
This is,
price funds.
can you call out like specific enterprise fund?
You certainly can. if you want.
Assign a specific
Yes,
minimum?
you certainly can. You could do it by
Like a smaller
percentages.
budget could have a smaller minimum?
Yeah, you can do it by percentages, you can do it by dollar value. I know a community that does 100% of budget. I think it's a little cost prohibitive. But that may have been something they walked up to, over a long period of time. But again, this is discussion only, and then if you want, at the next meeting, you can come back with your feedback, anything that you didn't think of at this particular meeting, and we'll start putting it into the revisions. And then when we get to that fourth meeting, hopefully we'll have that and everything reflected.
And Nancy, we know the transfer station is almost always on the brink of
Their
whatever.
retained earnings hasn't been bad, their operational budget has been very tight.
Yeah. But I guess my point is, this is an example of an enterprise fund where the town, we say shall, and we specify an amount, the town would have to fund it, which, as long as we didn't make it an amount that was onerous, but.
And that could come to your terminology is the town, will endeavor to have, yeah. As you can see, we have had negative retained earnings.
Right.
The golf course did have negative retained earnings. It was negative 12% in fiscal 18. It was 42% in fiscal 24. So we can work on, if you're thinking more percentages, let me run some different variations with percentages, see how they'll come out. Because this is why we're breaking this up in pieces, because it's not, you don't want to just adopt something and be like, why did we do that? Now it's a problem.
For somebody else.
Yeah.
Agree.
Reserve policy 5 speaks to the level of the stabilization fund. So we've been building our stabilization fund over the years. It's about 6.8 million right now. Depending on what happens at November 2024 special town meeting, the board's decision on whether we put back the $1.5 million out the water treatment plant. Those are the percentages where it's been, but we've never said how much is the limit. The statute used to call out how much you could put in the stabilization fund, it's capped. That language has gone away. So what is the appropriate amount for us where we say, okay, that's enough. Now we want to put those funds in a capital stabilization fund or someplace else. So that's something to think about. Do you want a cap? Right now, we don't have one. And this would also codify what we've been doing with the annual article to move the excess levy capacity to the stabilization fund. Because right now, it's just past practice, it is not codified anywhere.
What are your thoughts on the cap?
I think the cap is I think anytime you can tie this down and stop it from moving, have it so that it can be planned for, it's the way to go.
Nancy, what are your thoughts on the cap? You're at 9.4, we're talking on the high, on the max, so.
Yeah, I think the cap is good. I've been in a community that built a large stabilization fund to the maximum of the law at that time, and the law still had it. And the rating agencies, and it was built for a purpose, and when the town used it for a purpose, the rating agencies attacked. It's like, it was always very clear, we built it for a purpose, we used it for a purpose. But that community also had a problem with the run on the stabilization fund. When things got tough, people went to the stabilization fund to solve all their problems. So if you have it at a specific cap or specific percentage, so it shall not exceed X percentage of the general fund, operating budget of the general fund revenues. So we can take a look at what those numbers are.
Percentage, yeah, percentage.
So in the event that the wonderful thing happens.
Makes you spend it.
Well, that's where I'm getting to. Yeah, I mean, if you don't have a cap, then you could run the risk of all of a sudden people saying, oh, look at all that money over there. And we should, as a responsible board, community, either return funds to the taxpayer, should that happy day ever occur, or that we should use it for other purposes, but it shouldn't be just to build up this big, huge.
I guess always the option would be pay down debt too.
Yeah.
Right, like you would say a cap, and if you were over it, you would move it to pay that debt.
And that could be
That's right.
built into that, where right now we have the, inclusion of the language for the excess levy capacity. Unless we are at the cap, at which time we won't do that article. I think there's a lot you can do. We've been trying to build our reserves and build our reserves and build our reserves, but without a policy to say how much, what can you use it for, what's the floor, what's the ceiling. And we're trying to kind of wrap our heads around that. And this may be a policy that we want to come back to at the end and say, okay, let's do a little bit more.
So from that percent, the rest of it, we're right at all that.
Yeah, there you go, like that.
The capital stabilization funds, again, this is for the enterprise, not only the general fund one, but the enterprise fund ones. So what $1 million operation needs compared to the water enterprise fund is significantly different. We don't need to have 10% of the waterways fund set aside in a capital stabilization fund unless we know something big is coming down the road. Whereas for water, there's always something big coming down the road. So again, that percentage, to Jamie's point, it might make more sense to have a different percentage for the different enterprise funds, and maybe based on their operating budget.
Yeah.
And this is the historical range for that. I tried to give you something to look against, see where those were for the different reserves. As you can see, waterways doesn't have one, but the others have been moving around. And the same thing that we have that issue, what is the floor, what is the ceiling, when can you use it? So when we first set up capital stabilization, we would put like $50,000 over for ambulance, and when we went to buy the ambulance, we take it back out. So we're putting money in and out, which is fine, but we haven't said, okay, we always want to have X amount in there just in case. Or we don't care. Like we took the water and capital stabilization down to $2,000. Maybe at the November special time, we'll put it back up to $250, or start to put it back up to $250, but again, that floor ceiling discussion is something that will be part of this policy. And then when we get to reserve policy 7, answer your policy, OPEB, this would actually codify the 2% funding practice that we're currently doing, which isn't codified anywhere, until such time as the Plymouth County Retirement Assessment liability is satisfied, and then that level of funding can be directed to OPEB. And Plymouth County Retirement Assessment is now extended. They have changed their funding schedule, so it's no longer 2029, it's 2031. So when OPEB will start getting funded, we'll be a little bit farther down the line. It should be a lower value. So either if you were to put the entire amount that you currently fund for Plymouth County Retirement towards OPEB, you probably get there faster. But you may decide that, okay, I only want to put what I'm required to do over a 30-year amortization schedule. But that's a discussion for about 7 years from now. Reserve policy 8 talks about additional reserves that the board has the ability to just set them up as by whatever statute requires it. This is how we set up the OPEB, the opioid settlement funds, the PFAS settlement funds. That just gives you that the acceptance on statute for spent reserve. Just if something comes forward, new legislation or reserve that you want to have a reserve for this, then okay, yep, we have a policy that says we can set those up however that is. We don't have one of those. It's like, is it a good idea? Should we do it? Let's do it. This is just tightening that up. Again, right now, the only reserve that we have a goal for that's stated anywhere, and that's just in the reserve revenue and assumptions, is the workers' compensation trust fund, which is a goal of 750, and it hasn't had its goal. The question is,
Where is it?
it's only in the revenue and expense assumptions in the financial forecast.
But where, you said the goal is 750?
We
Or
are
750, where are we?
We're at just over 800,000. The goal was to get to $750,000.
So we're over it. Oh, okay.
But then
So
to
we're
make,
about to still didn't meet
yeah, they wanted to get the goal was to get us to $750,000 so that it could maintain itself. But we had several years of bad claims. We were trying to make up, but financial forecast has reduced the funding for the workers' comp trust fund over the last 2 years because it's reached its goal. So lots to talk about. I think reserves is the one there where you're gonna have the most, where you're gonna wanna make changes and
Yeah.
try to put some stuff into it, but it's something to think about. The next three will be on 9/24, which will be self-supporting, so the enterprise funds, capital and debt, kind of go hand in hand. And some of these you'll see harken back to one another. It's a lot to get through, that's why we're gonna do it in little bits, if it's all right with the board. When we get to the adoption of 10/22, maybe you're not ready to adopt, maybe we're still in the editing phase, and we'll just move from there. But at least we're going through them one by one. The other two presentations for the reviews are already set up in a similar fashion. This is the policy, this is why there's a policy. If that's all right with you and you want to see it ahead of time, we certainly can release them to the board ahead of time. It is pretty much verbatim from what we gave to you in hard copy at the
And this will help us with the rating agencies.
The format of these financial policies was what they told us was an example of what they considered an excellent financial policy. And since we will be having a ratings call, I certainly would share this draft with them and say, is this what it's gonna take? Because we're not gonna adopt it, it's not gonna get us there.
Right.
But we'll have a ratings call with them probably sometime around September 23rd-ish. And we'll provide this information to them, letting them know that yes, we are making these changes. And this is the plan for when these changes are made. How would you view these in our overall rating?
So I have one final question. So if we were to do all of this, would this be a document that would be, that we would share with and educate the advisory committee on?
It's not something to be adopted and put on a check, it's something to be adopted as a working document. And when we get to compliance, part of the compliance that I'm proposing with the rest of the members of the financial team is that the budget document and the capital plan document would include statements saying that they are in compliance with the financial policies of the town.
It would be annotated to.
It would be a requirement
Yeah.
to prove that you are actually following the policies.
Good.
Very good.
Sorry, it went a little bit longer than I wanted, but
No, we're gonna get through it.
and if you want the other presentations early, we certainly can shoot them out to you.
Sorry.
No, this is great, and we got this was a backup. It's great, I like the historical information too, that's very helpful. It was very clear and easy to understand for financial policies.
Yeah,
So I
Love the
appreciate,
format.
I appreciate the how you presented them with historical information.
it's not fun and exciting stuff, and we don't
Thank
want to
you
adopt
all
anything
who
that
were
then
involved.
hampers us later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you to the other members of the financial team for work on this.
Yes,
Still there.
definitely.
Still up? Well, no, she's not, she's not up. You can take a seat.
What's that? No, she is.
Classification plan phase.
I was gonna call the people waiting,
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
excuse me,
who then
excuse me.
I thought it would be nice, I'm assuming that there's two folks here
Oh.
for capital, no?
Well, that's me too.
Okay, you said, sorry, you said that. Well, we're gonna move, we're talking about capital,
Stand up, sit down.
capital plan projects and community preservation, just in case someone.
So the only reason this was placed on your agenda was just to refresh the board's memory about when the due dates were. So the capital project submission deadline for the upcoming annual town meeting is this Thursday. So, and they're coming in fast and furious, and the meetings with Jim will be the following week, and then a recommendation for a plan, town administrator's plan will come before you on October 8th. And the community preservation project applications for the annual town meeting are due by 10/1. So if there was anything the board was thinking of, reaching out to their liaison committees and commissions, those are the deadlines that you would be focused on that are housekeeping.
We didn't wanna, Jim, we didn't wanna discuss any projects or anything. Now, just send those to the committees and have one submit or just
That's what it is. I mean, if you have stuff you think you want to spend, I'd give it to the right committee or
Yeah.
board.
Could I suggest something fairly small, but, maybe it's the wrong timing, we could do it for the next cycle, I don't know, but when we built the tennis courts project, we were not able to provide the DPW with a storage facility within the budget, even though that was part of the plan. We're talking 2 big garages that they were gonna throw over the corner. Is it something we could go back for that? And call it something not just tennis, because they're gonna put their lawnmowers there and all of that for more over the overall campus there. Sports camp.
Don't remember how much they were, Jamie, whether there's gonna be any money left on the project at the end.
Yeah, maybe we should wait and see that.
We might have another way to do that. There's a couple of things coming up. We can find out on Thursday, we have sufficient funding. There might be another way to do that.
And they may have put it in as a request themselves.
I haven't looked at what's coming in, because it's gonna be my entire life next week, so.
I mean, this
I
came
don't
up,
think
this,
of anything else.
yeah, no, I mean, so this came up, we talked about the recruitment, and none of these projects necessarily have to be approved or not approved, but these are things that the residents have talked about, or I know that some of our committees have talked about, or at least some things that we've talked about at other meetings, and so, you know, it's,
Well, I would like to see us hire an expert on parks to do an inventory of all the parks that we have, both small, large, existing, coming up, and to, you know, for example, Lost Pond, we should have some sort of expert look at Lost Pond and do a history, do a site plan, show us what's there, what the maintenance needs are, what the and we have a lot of these little properties around town that will comment on Stockbridge Road, for example. I know that going forward, once the water treatment plant comes down, that's gonna be a park opportunity of some kind. It's a piece of, you know, public property. And I think that it's something that the CPC could probably fund on a small basis, not a huge amount of money. It's one of the similar projects is every so often the historical commission comes, they want to do a survey of historic properties. But, you know, at this point, the deadline being October 1st, I wouldn't think it's necessary to push forward.
The historical plan that's ongoing right now, I believe, with investment and historic commission, through heritage strategies, covers parks and buildings.
Well, so that's a very good reason to look at what they're doing and to make sure that if they're paying someone to do it, that they're including some of these properties they may or may not have thought of. And so that's why I'm saying I don't think October 1st is necessarily a deadline that, you know, I want to force down someone else's, on someone else, shall we say. But that to me is an example of a project that the select board might be interested in putting forth. But I would be more inclined to go through the various committees first. But if we could find out what that does, what the staff is, and they come in to report that to you at all?
Pardon me?
Have they come in to report that to you at all, the historical commission about that?
No, in fact, I asked, our liaison last night to report to the next meeting. We did grant, the town passed $60,000 for their study and survey. So
I
they
have
have,
a
they have money to
recollection.
hire the people.
Great, okay, thank you.
That's good.
Yeah.
Just, item 1 of the scope of the company that was hired is an assessment of historic and cultural resources, including buildings, structures, objects, areas, landscapes, burial grounds, and sites. Perfect. So that will at least address the historical.
No, that's great. I had forgotten all about that.
and I'll say what's on my list, and again, these may or may not. Part of this was at least good consideration, thoughtfulness. Sometimes when these come through, they may not be the top priority for a capital project or something else, but at the transfer station, we have a big concern to make sure that our signage, everything else is done and done well, and so, again, signage may not be the biggest capital project, but possibly if that has to come across. Which I personally, I would be supportive of, if not, we'll have consideration. The Commission on Disabilities will be coming forth at some point with the beach access ramp, maybe through CPC, maybe not, again, give a consideration to see,
That'd be
may be appropriate,
beach.
maybe.
That'd be easy.
Negative, actually, negative. More Moby mats, other things, again. As a liaison, consideration, you can say yes, say no, fine, but I just want to get the
Well,
consideration.
you guys have definitely gotten moving nets before,
Yeah, I think this one's a bit more involved.
but more
Again.
permanent structures.
That was the point for this too, is just to say, hey, where's our head, what are we here for residents? The other thing would be sidewalks, you know, this is just for engineering, not for building. For engineering, because we've had a standing list of 11 years, Stockbridge, Haverly, Curtis Ave, and parts of Tilden for engineering that's on the school list. At least I know, I get residents keep saying, why is it taking 11 years? So for us to talk about it, I wanted to tell public that so residents know that we're talking about it, for those people here. Again, maybe this isn't the time, maybe it's not appropriate, but one of the, at least we're gonna examine it and say, hey, let's take that makes sense. Appropriate or? Yes.
I would say just as, you know, on the projects that you've talked about in general, that I like to, you know, stay with the 5-year capital project. If something comes up that hasn't been, you know, we look at that, you know, 5 years, what's in front of us, what's behind us. So if you come up and say, I wanna cut the line and say, you know, this year's capital plan, would be why? Why should we fast track this and not that? And just in general, as far as, you know, these projects in anything, I've been on this committee for way too long. And every time, you know, I think every year I say, I want you guys, I want the liaison at the meeting, because we wanna know what you think. You know, this is the select board's capital planning. You know, so we're here to help you create this plan. If we don't know what you're thinking, you know, Jim gives us, you know, the links, leave us. So yeah, you know, I absolutely want the liaison there to say, you know, the board is thinking, you know, maybe we should fast track something.
I think, yeah, I think we're trying to get to that point where, to make sure that the involvement is, fully there, and, we'll get there. Well, we can talk about that. Thank you. Now we're up for
I'm just gonna stay.
classification.
So normally you vote classification plan in the spring. I'm asking you to vote fiscal 26 classification plan pay schedule for non-union employees because all of the employment contracts, collective bargaining agreements are settled. The AMP and TOSCA units for fiscal 26 are both getting 3% COLAs. We're asking that 3% COLA be extended to the non-union personnel for fiscal 26 as well. That way we can build it into the budget as we're starting. You may not know, but I mentioned that the capital plan is due back September 12th. The budgets will be going out, fiscal 26 budgets probably go out this week. Directions, I need to do that October 3rd. So we are in budget season for fiscal 26.
All right, so 3. All right. Questions? 3% COLA.
I have no problem with that because you need to be even-handed and consistent across the board with all your employees. And if the trade unions took 3%, so should our non-union.
Questions? Classification?
Well, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
If I may editorial, I don't think the non-union employees have any voice in it, do they?
No, they don't collectively bargain.
Right, so
So
I mean,
it's up
but I
to us to put something forward. Generally, we track what we do with the corresponding unit.
which sounds absolutely reasonable to me.
No.
I mean, they can't say no.
Right, yeah.
I mean, just saying,
Yeah, no, it's really easy, a matter of ethical fairness.
yeah, fairness, equity.
Good.
Justice.
Equity works for me,
We'll take,
as
motion
always,
then.
I like equity.
Move to adopt the FY 26 classification plan for non-union employees as provided effective from July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2026, which reflects a 3% cost of living adjustment.
Mr. Gilmore, second by
Second.
Harrison. Unanimous.
Aye.
So while poor Mr. Fenley is sitting here, I misinterpreted the agenda item, and I told him I thought maybe it referred to the applications that are pending for the upcoming town meeting. But clearly I was misinformed by myself. And, is he on the agenda?
I actually sent Dan an email during the meeting tonight, just in a moment when I wasn't listening intently, asking him if he would be available for the 9:24 and the 10:08 meeting to see if he could come in and provide his presentations and their recommendations. So now you heard it verbally, and now you have an email as well.
Well, and I called him yesterday, and left him a voicemail as well, saying I misinterpreted the agenda item, so.
It's always nice to see
It's
Dan.
nice to show up for us.
Told me he has nothing better to do, so we figured to come back.
Say that again?
You had nothing better to do, so we figured to come back.
Sure.
Mr. Fennelly, would you be available for the 9:24 meeting or the 10:08 meeting to present your recommendation? Which one would you prefer?
24.
Okay, so, Mr. Fennelly, we look forward to your next meeting.
Thank you, Nancy.
I'm writing that down.
Next week.
Add it to Sherry's list.
All right.
So what you have before you, if it please the board, is 16 potential articles for special town meeting. A vote tonight, which is put these articles on the special town meeting. It is not supporting it's not saying your recommendation, it's not supporting the content such as the reserve articles, it's just putting the articles on, and then we come back to you for form.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And I do think that we'll probably lose 2 more.
Okay. We're good.
Yeah.
Everybody? All right, motion. I'll then move to include 16 articles in November 18, 2024 special town meeting, as provided on the list this evening, unless otherwise removed to the question part or the select board.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Kirby, seconded by Ms. Conley.
Next door.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
And I will forward your general bylaw articles to the bylaw review committee so that they can call a meeting, review them, and receive your recommendation for the same capital items.
The ethical, bylaw review thing.
I do not know, we know that, Kate was having difficulty. On that,
It's the hardest.
I thought you reported to the animal.
well, if they can't come, if they can't get the sums together, then it would just be your recommendation.
Yeah.
All right, board report, excuse me, board and committee appointments.
Right, we just have all the grade for, right?
Yes.
It's really short.
All right, so these are all, I mean, again, there's no,
I don't have a problem.
remember, there's no, none of these have, we have open space, we have
Competition.
no competition.
Oh,
All
good.
right, so our clerk will read the motion.
Move to appoint Mary Lou Quinn to Sister City State Meredith Committee for a term of 2 years or until a successor is named. Brendan Coleman to the Historical Commission for a term of 3 years or until a successor is named. Jody McDonough to the Mordecai Lincoln Committee for a term of 2 years or until a successor is named. Move to reappoint Kathleen McCormick to the Beautification Commission for a term of 3 years or until a successor is named.
Mr. Gilmore.
You have one more that you didn't read on, you had a new sheet for Cameron,
And further moved,
What's that about?
It was a new one.
Updated packet.
Okay, and further move to appoint Karen McDonald to the Mordecai Lincoln Committee for a term of 2 years or until a successor is named.
Moved by Mr. Gilmore, second by Ms. Lake. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
The thing of Cameron McDonald is, taking Kevin Kelly's place. He's his replacement, so.
Does he know there's a meeting on
does.
Thursday?
He
And
does,
Jody
and-
know too?
They will both know,
They will
and
both
we
know.
will let,
Senior center.
we will get them sworn in so they can be there.
Awesome. Is Karen replacing?
Cameron.
The new.
Cameron is the
He's a
new
new
Kevin
facilities
Kelly.
director.
Oh, okay, good.
He will be in probably the next meeting just to say hi.
Cameron or Cam?
He goes.
Cam.
Cam. Yeah. All right, motion for very generous donation. Our good friend, Ms. Duffels. Really, thank you, Penny. Page 104.
Move to accept the donation of $4,072 from Penny Cosmetics from Memorial Bench to be placed in
Second.
Ms. Harris, seconded by Mr. Gilmore. All those in favor?
Aye.
It is unanimous. Penny, you're the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
Reports of the
I
liaison.
feel like my people were all here.
I know.
I can report on Irish Sister City if you'd like to hear.
Please.
Oh, good. I come armed.
Oh, geez.
Here is a copy of the Skibberey Exchange Student schedule. And I bring this to your attention because we are listed one of these days. But I also wanted you to see, we have 20 kids and 3 chaperones visiting from Ireland, October 20th to the 29th. Everybody in the town is abuzz, they're all excited. You can see their schedule is extremely productive. They've asked if we could welcome them as a walk-in on the night of October 22nd. So that would be 20 kids and 3 chaperones filling this room. We would want to welcome them to the town. It's very suitable because that's the way we were treated when we were over in Scepter Isle in West Cork. I might also like to suggest that we see if our generous town administrator can provide Scituate town pins to all of the attendees. So they can.
Go to the capital budget, go to the capital budget.
I know.
More pins.
We can get them to walk, it's something that they can walk away with, they can identify with our town
Yeah.
logo, that's what you guys would like to do. And I don't know what other things, like a citation or some sort of a document, some sort of a
Key to the town.
key to the town type of thing.
Key to Kevin's truck.
Key to Kevin, or
Kevin Cafferty's, DPW.
These are not keys now, so
key to Jim Boudreaux's car, perhaps.
they wanna make the payments, they can have the keys.
Yeah.
I know, keying
We
is
didn't get invited to the Tinker Summit.
We could go.
Well, this is lovely, this is
Let's
wonderful,
say-
well, we will welcome them, we will welcome them.
Then
Open
also,
arms.
additionally,
Yes.
additionally, the adjunct committee, the finance adjunct committee, which is the Heritage Trail Committee for Ireland, is having on September 28th, a fundraiser at the Scituate Beach Association from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Tickets are available for $35. Should be a nice evening. We might have the Irish Council General there. But that's still to be determined. But I just wanted you all to know about that. And then also there is the Irish Heritage Trail Photo Contest, which is out there for anybody that wants to submit photographs. There's a nominal cost, I think it's like $35 or something. First prize is $300, but it's the photo contest, not just Scituate, also West Cork. All the towns in West Cork will be involved in that too. So it's kind of nice to see. I just wanted you all to know about those 2 aspects. If anybody's interested, they can see me and I can just give them
I'm
enough
in.
information.
I'll see you.
All right? That's all I have. they've reconstituted, Jim Canavan is the new president there. Brenda O'Connor, at her young age of 39, is gonna probably retire. After so many years of dedication, we owe a lot of gratitude to her.
She's the best.
Yeah. But it's good to see other people starting to fill in and take some, because she is certainly still pushing. Behind the scenes, always very loyal to her cause. I'm proud to know. That's all I have.
I just have, let's see, we got the Mordecai Lincoln report back. They did a report on the buildings. Put together back this week, a draft report, and I sent it to the committee. There's a meeting on Thursday. I mean, the report, they're structurally, they're sound. This was the report today, so, and then the gives recommendations. Shellfish, planting yesterday, today, and tomorrow went well. I think 50 bushels the first day, 60 the second. And we are also planting tomorrow. Again, that's a mitigation, right? That's sometimes the states like do a mitigation. That's why I say we raise our hands on the shellfish. So we'll be planting it in specifically in sites that are walkable, right? So in the winter when people are harvesting and going out recreationally, it's safe spots. So yeah, that's my quick update.
Do we have any report on oyster farm? What, we're in year 3 or 2 or what?
We're in year 1.
We're only in terms of.
We're starting the second year, yes.
And when do they start to harvest?
They should be harvesting this fall.
Oh, great.
Yeah, great. So we have to reconvene and get working on that soon, actually.
That's great though.
Yeah, no, it's good.
The last school building meeting, there was a lot of discussion about some of the exterior aesthetics and some of the interior aesthetics, but also just so folks know there's gonna be a traffic study already done, or it's gonna be done soon. I forget. There's some traffic study. That was traffic was gonna be next. That was the next.
They're gonna go back out and do traffic counts and turn out for the actual what's going on at the school now, so.
Yeah, that was the next.
Just reconfirm the numbers.
So, in other words, the Christian school traffic count is going down to 0, right? And that would be.
But they're gonna count both, right? All have outstanding parents.
All I'm saying is.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, and that'll be bumped up when we go through this. Right.
Well.
Don't get used to it.
No, I'm not.
Correspondence.
I have no correspondence.
Oh, you do.
You do.
It's
Plymouth
in your,
County,
it's in
Plymouth
your
County
backup.
parking.
It's in your backup.
It's not in writing.
It's not in writing. It's
I've
in
been
your backup.
usually given it in writing, so forgive me for not seeing it here.
That's all right. We'll give it to you in writing.
Plymouth County Parking Order, you wanna read this whole thing?
No.
Summarize.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Reader's Digest.
We
So-
have that version.
I'll do it. The, it's just a fiscal year review, Plymouth County parking quarterly, how many tickets have been issued here, there, and everywhere across the state. Just a fun fact, but the Plymouth County parking, they go as far as the lead, Great Barrington.
Yeah, we don't participate.
We do not participate.
Although I would love to
Situate
know.
here.
I would love to know how many beach parking tickets we gave this year, since everyone.
We can send that request to the chief.
Yeah.
All right.
So we simply don't report.
We don't.
No, we don't
We're not part of the program.
participate, we're not part of the program, they issue tickets,
They
they're like
issue
an
tickets.
administrative agency that administers tickets.
So you would hire them to come out to.
There was a presentation from them, and they decided to remain, police chief and treasurer collector, myself met with them. And they decided to remain with their.
Bridgewater State takes the most.
Yeah, it's usually big college, and then big college
Tickets
states,
like
if you're a
that,
small
right?
town at college, and you have to like.
Highest number of tickets is Provincetown.
Again, not
No.
a tourist destination.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, there's also a letter
Norwell is one.
from that Mass Housing.
this is.
Yeah, so this is a project eligibility of a 40B. This is for First Parish Road. So again, this is just project eligibility. This does not mean necessarily that what's been proposed is what's gonna happen. This is just the initial first step for mass housing.
But they really back down.
Well, there's,
They didn't,
yeah.
they did not.
And then there's been, some correspondence from, some folks in the general public about the safety of the Scituate Center for Performing Arts, to see if there could be some, better solutions on the floor and the stage flooring there to look into that.
That's really for the schools.
That's correct.
That's not, we were copied on it, that's the
And I
schools.
saw.
Well, it said we may have to
superintendent
pay for it.
Might be going in that capital.
That's what I'm saying.
But just, I'm just telling you what they.
And then the bags, the mini blue bags.
You talk about that.
I will say, we had a resident say that they recycle a lot and they don't produce a lot of waste. It's only 2 folks in the house, and they were wondering if there was an option for a very small blue bag. So like we have a big blue bag, we have
13 gallon.
we have 2 blue bags right now. We have the big one, which is so we have another one.
The other.
And I think if I understand this individual, they're asking for a smaller one.
Which would be like,
So can I
Take it
take it,
under-
have you get back to them?
Yeah. I just saw that. Yeah, we can.
We can have Kevin, someone,
well, that seems wasteful. Just,
a mini blue bag?
We'll take it under advisement.
Well, I should say that the smaller bag we have now is a 13 gallon, which fits in a standard kind of a kitchen. Trash.
Yep, you don't need to litigate the trash.
Yeah.
We have adjournment,
Minutes.
signing
No,
of
minutes.
the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes is written.
I move by Mr. Gilmore,
second.
second by Ms. Conley, all those in favor?
Aye.
Wait, you had 2 minutes, because you also had executive session.
Motion to approve the other 2 minutes.
And not post.
No, the exec, I
Move
said,
to accept and not release executive session meeting minutes from August 20th.
Agree.
say so.
And yes, as she said.
As proposed.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Harrison, seconded by Ms. Harrison, all those in favor?
I can't believe it.
She moved, you moved, and she seconded it.
All right.
I need someone to motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, moved by Ms. Harrison, seconded by Mr. Gilmore, all those in favor?
Like,
Aye.
It's unanimous.